Are you ready?
It's gonna be a hot girl disco summer. I'm never doing that again. I apologize. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Here, let's fix it. Something cool. It's just me. It's just me. Are we live? Is this thing on? What's up, Disco Ball Nation? We got a star-studded cast, but we're going to introduce each one of these beauties individually because they're all incredible. Starting first with my co-host with the most. This is my guy, Sleezbomb. My mind is a weapon, fantasy football. The dude is a dynasty savant. He's an up-and-coming best ball legend. That's my guy, Sleezbomb. We also got the legend, Mr. D-Bro from FantasyPros. Thank you, FantasyPros, for lending us your guy. This guy I consider a mentor. He's somebody who I've admired and looked up to the entire time. Thank you for joining us, D-Bro. And last but not least, guys, we got one of the greatest best ball drafters on the planet, period. He's been the runner-up in several of these best ball tournaments. He has been the model of consistency. He's been as good as it could possibly be. This is our guy, Updog, and he's finally going to display and share his tools. And you guys can also have access to his tools and his mind. And this is how you guys get the secret sauce. And who knows, he might call this year's Brock Bowers and Bucky Irving for you guys, or this year's Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams, who he really benefited from 2 years ago. That was what, $150,000 call? Good for you, Updog. But before all that, guys, before we get into business, I just want to ask you guys, how's your summer going? Like, is everybody having a good summer? How's everybody doing? D-Bro, how's your summer going, brother?
I'm doing good, man. If I could just stay out of the sun, sunburn's trying to get me and kids are trying to crush me every single day. I got 3 at home, so balancing shows and content and all this stuff as, you know, redraft and best ball season heats up, always an adventure, so I'm here for it.
I love it, brother. Sleez, how's the summer going?
Man, same thing over here. Super hot. It's the California dry desert, Fresno, right in the Central Valley. It's going to be 110. I need to get a pool in the backyard ASAP here.
Updog,
Brutal.
Are you taking any best ball vacations to Florida so you could just draft a bunch of teams?
Man, it feels like Florida up here. It's actually hot in Toronto. We're cooking up here too, so it's been a nice couple of days. I had a big golf trip on the weekend, and yeah, it was really nice. Yeah,
it's so for you Americans, it's been 115 and 114 Fahrenheit here. It's been incredibly humid, and this is coming from a brown person. This shit's too hot. It's way too hot. Nevertheless, guys, the reason why we're here, and the floor is going to go to Updog here. He's got these tools. He's got this incredible charting system, this incredible process where it's not necessarily just player takes, but it's a lot more theory and matchup based. Updog, the floor is yours. Why don't you talk to the folks and just let me know when you want me to pull up the chart, okay?
Yeah, cool. So basically, one of my longest running, thesis of how to play this game is trying to extrapolate matchups across the season. Everyone spends their time trying to perfect their rankings and their projections, and meanwhile, this is all kind of an impossible task trying to predict, player scores 6 months out from when they happen, right? So my concept has been to do the opposite of that, which is to try and project game environments and defenses. And over the years, my spreadsheets have kind of gotten more dynamic and more evolved. And this year, it's gotten to a point where I've made it public facing in the sense that all I have to do, like if I wanted to give people access to this, all you have to do is input the teams they drafted and charts form and give you an idea of where the correlation is, where you're spending the capital, what teams would balance the current teams you've already selected, and what teams would increase the ceiling on the roster relative to what you've selected. So it's really cool. I think this is honestly the literal first best ball solver that exists, and I think this is going to be the basis for future best ball solvers that aren't built on rankings like they are today, right? And I like to think of it in terms of like a kind of like we're playing poker. Now, not your normal Texas Hold'em. Let's just say high card wins, and you want as many aces and kings as you can. If I assign a value to every team's schedule, right? Or every game in every team's schedule has a value, right? It has an ace, it has a king, it has a queen. I want my team to have ace. Like I want ace. When my first round pick has aces, has their best matchups, I want them to balance out my other players when they have bad games that week, right? I want things that work well together in unison. And that's the concept of the tool, is to raise floor of your team by mixing and matching teams that balance well together.
In advantageous positioning, right?
Correct. Yeah. So Disco, you can go ahead and share the sheet.
There you go, brother. So
this is just like the opening splash page, what it looks like. As you see here, I've clicked Cincinnati receiver and Baltimore running back. So this would be, a Chase Derrick Henry team. The first chart right away, right? This is just their projected points over the season. And you can see the bars are obviously different. Like we have, clearly this bar has no yellow, so Chase is on bye. And it's all scaled to what the game score is I assigned it, basically, right? And by using this, we can calculate things like projected points added, which is what I call floor. So on these first two charts here, like we'll zoom into the receiver chart, right? The X and Y axis here. So what this is showing you is on the X axis, this is points added. So the further right you go, the more theoretical points this team would add to your lineup. So this is saying New England pairs really well with Cincinnati, meaning they'll ping pong weeks, ping pong spike weeks.
Okay. So how would you then stagger this information just based off of how you're visualizing it?
I don't get what you mean.
So you're saying New England and Cincinnati, Jamar Chase, it ping pongs back and forth. So with this information, what would be your next step and your next move?
Well, I mean, so obviously we don't have a New England receiver available in the second round, right? Because we've only put in one player, right? So this is basically saying the next player you select in the drop down list, the second, third round player, it's running all these teams through a batch of numbers, and it's giving me the ones with the highest results. So this is telling me that New England, Pittsburgh, Carolina, Miami all balance really well with Cincinnati. And by balance, I mean when Cincinnati has a good matchup, they probably have one of their weaker matchups.
Does that
when
play
Cincinnati
off
has a
value?
No, so it's all baked in by the projection it's using is the round you're drafting it in. So when you click Cincinnati receiver in the first round, it doesn't know you're taking Jamar Chase. It just knows you're taking a first round valued player that plays Cincinnati's schedule. So you can put in whatever team, even if they're not picked in the first round, you can just put them in and see what happens, right? You can also build backwards where you like a few guys in the 9-10, right? You can all of a sudden see who's going to work well with them up the board. It's really cool because you can basically do a lot of stuff to point towards future strategy.
So if you were to put in Cincinnati as like a third round pick for T. Higgins, I'm just guessing he's going in the third round. I'm not checking ADP. Is it going to spit out the same values or is there a numerical value based off of the first to the third round? Like if you took the first, does that make sense?
Yeah. So you're basically just stacking the same thing up stacking the same thing up twice. In that case, right? Because it's not differentiating between the players. It's just saying you have two Cincinnati receivers and they're projected to score.
But if you only drafted T. Higgins instead of not getting Chase, is what I'm saying. Like, would it spit out the same values for you based, like, would the correlation for New England Patriots be that's as strong? Or is it because Chase's value, does that make sense? Because of his value, where you're drafting him, does it make New England more valuable?
It's always going to reference the first slot you haven't drafted. So there will be minor differences because because now you're asking it to overlay a first round player that will score more points. So the actual the intricacies of what weeks balance out change a bit because the points are changing, right? But just in general,
playing like projected points into that, like based on
because
player value.
It's essentially taking the highest score from the players it's comparing, right? And the first round pick is the guy that score is almost always going to be the highest score, right? Because the first round player is like projecting for the most. So that one is like it's the one that needs the least balancing, basically, right? So things might change a bit, but the actual structure behind the model doesn't change. It's just like the output would change like slightly.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's so another big part of it is the correlation, which is in the top right here. Right there on the top right. And this is actually the y-axis on most of these charts, like you see on receiver floor.
Mm-hmm.
You built all of this yourself from scratch?
Oh yeah. No, it's been years of work, honestly, and this year I focused on turning it into charts to try and make it dynamic, that you can use it while you're drafting and it can give you, thoughtful input.
It's really
to choose between these hundreds of players that we're, that we're staring at every day. And the point of this is to get teams, like specifically on Underdog and DraftKings, to draft teams with the most playoff correlation, and also that balance your roster the most the best possible. So these main charts, receiver floor and running back floor, the y-axis is total playoff correlation, and it goes much deeper than the week 15, 16, and 17 opponents. It actually goes 4 layers deep. So it takes those 3 opponents, it takes the opponents of those opponents, and then it does that again twice. Each time it halves the actual value, but you end up with a chart like this on the right, where there's a lot more teams that have correlation than you would think, right? Like I'll just show you the Cincinnati one.
Let me throw a quick question out there. Is it always gonna like lean towards the teams with the easier schedules at the end, no matter how you draft it, right? So you're always gonna have like the
so that was actually like the core problem with my sheets in the past, is that I would like project strength of schedule, and that would leave you with a scenario that some teams just have better schedules, right? So that would obviously make them pop in the model every single week, or for every team, right? So that was a past issue I had. But this year, I referenced the kind of poker analogy because that's how I fixed it. Is I actually assigned each team like a range, and regardless of what the actual value was, if it was their best matchup, they got the ace, they got the best value. And if it was the worst matchup, regardless of how it is compared to other teams, just their worst matchup in the season, it got a deuce, right? So that's how I was able to solve the problem, and also why I don't have full season-long strength of schedule this year, because in my model they all have the same values. It's just I've assigned them to be different from week to week, but the total is actually the same. So that was a little workaround I did this year. And
that's what I was wondering. That's good.
Yeah, so there's always there's never a team it's not gonna recommend, like Denver's gonna balance some team the best, like Casey's gonna balance some other team the best, right? Like they're all gonna have their own spots to pop. And it's it's kind of part of what makes it work. We're trying to chase down the best combinations of players to score the most points possible. And this allows you to chase the most playoff correlation while also trying to add as many points as you can, just based on last year's defenses and game environments. And of course, we know that may or may not be sticky, but damn, I'm going to try. And this is the result.
Updog, pineapples. Queue up, please, if you're drafting with us. Excellent. Thank you for presenting that to us. It's a lot to process. I'm not gonna lie. It is
deep dive.
So I'm trying to think to myself, like I worry about dialysis by analysis with how intricate this process is, because I feel like I got lost along the way, and I want to think like I'm kind of a sharp dynasty mind, but like I'm just saying I have a lot to research, and I have still yet a lot to learn in this best ball world, because your process it works for you. Clearly, there's consistency behind your model and what you do, and you've corrected it where you've found mishaps, and you've profited where you found success. I just want to know, how does your process apply to your player takes? Is there certain players, certain sleepers? Because like you've hit some pretty spectacular calls.
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
this related at all, or is this just you being like a
honestly,
fantasy
no.
football and
Like,
football fan?
they're two completely different things. Like, I've been fortunate. I've so I've had some scores. I've had some good takes. I've put in my money in a lot of good spots before. I've also had some bad spots. Right? It's kind of just that knowing ball aspect of the game we play, which I definitely think is one of my skills. Don't get me wrong, but I think the actual game theory behind the game is completely like disconnected from that. And I really try to be good at both of those things.
So I was gonna say, just kind of contextualizing the sheet and what you're trying to accomplish. It feels like, and correct me if I'm wrong, like it's a balance of correlating schedules and correlating bye weeks. I mean, not bye weeks, correlating spike weeks, to where you're looking at. I mean, it looks like as you're overlaying that and how you're looking at it, like your goal here is to correlate spike weeks as you're going and correlating schedule as you're going. And if those two, basically, if the marriage is solid between those two, you're building solid teams. Is that right?
Exactly. I'm trying to build better teams in the field. I'm trying to have more correlation in the field. I'm trying to have a higher floor than the field.
Well, from those bar graphs too, the way that you're overlaying it, are you using that at times and looking at certain players, or like, say, if you've used this enough, I know that Houston's wide receivers, the middle part of their schedule is amazing. So as you're staring at that bar graph and you're going through a draft, you're saying, it looks kind of low. I'm looking not great between week 6 through 10. And you're like, maybe I need some juice. Are you going that deep with it when you're drafting and saying, I need to level this out?
100%. And it all actually pops like automatically in the model. If you have like a bunch of low receiver scores in that stretch, it's going to tell you what team scores the most points on that week, right? It'll just pop automatically in the charts. And so oftentimes you'll be using it, right? And you're like, oh, this a New England receiver, like one doesn't come up for 6 rounds, by ADP. You just bank it, right? You just remember it, and or you just pencil it in.
Projections as well to power this based off of projected points. Are you pulling an aggregate, or do you make your own projections yourself?
So what I did is I took the last 3 years of data, and I essentially took how many receivers, running backs, QBs, tight ends were drafting in each round. And I overlaid like QB1, QB2, RB1, RB2. I overlaid all their points by round. So I essentially got numbers to assign as a round-based value. So when you take a QB in the first round, it gets 23 points a game. When you take a QB in the second round, it gets
there's an expected point output based off of historical data. When you draft somebody as the QB 10, say you're expecting low 18s, like 18.4 or whatever.
Yeah. So you're basically like whatever you put into the model in each round, that's the projection you're giving it. Okay. You're saying this is going to be an average third round receiver when you plug him in as a third round receiver. It's not trying to make any guesses or look at any data. It's just telling you this is a third round value player, and that's what I'm going to overlay on the schedule.
One more question too before we kind of hop. Sorry, Sleez. You can go ahead, man.
Oh, I was gonna say, so essentially it's when people are drafting best ball, they see their bye weeks, they try and split their bye weeks up. You try and have a couple the same. What it's doing is deep diving in to the opposite weeks of the star players you have to look at spike weeks for the other players on that team, correct?
Yes.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
So the same for bye weeks, right? It'll know what your bye weeks are, right? And it'll also know what teams are in theoretical shootouts that week, right?
That's what I'm looking for, right? But you don't know that because you're in a best ball draft. You're just looking at what you see.
Exactly. So that's what it's doing. But
you're basing that off of implied point totals or just game totals or spread.
So my game environment total is what I call it. Is based off of last year's points scored home and road. So it's encapsulating.
You're not using betting lines or
I'm not using future lines.
Okay.
Which is definitely an argument. Like I
was going to say, have you run the numbers have you run that as an input?
No, it's honestly just so hard to get the data, and it's so like all the totals are like so close this far out. Like there's not really, they're not like real lines, so it's kind of hard to do it. But yeah, I just use last year's totals, last year's stadiums, basically game environments, and then position-based stats, EPA, to actually divvy up QB, receiver, tight end, etc.
Bijan.
Oh, did I not? Oh my god, I entered this slow, bro.
Dude, I almost said something whenever you did it. I was like, I think that you went into the slow. We were talking about that before.
All good. I need a moment, guys. Got to pay the bills. You guys know how this goes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a mock draft. This is a real money draft with real money implications. How much real money are we talking about? $2.5 million in total prizes. $500,000 goes to first. It's total points format. Most points wins. Best ball weekly scoring from weeks 1 to 17. 12 teams draft. There's a fast and slow. It's a $20 entry. You get to max out with 150 lineup. There's also the Drafters $2 mini, which is about to max out. It's a $2 investment. 10K goes to first. Not bad for a $2 investment. $100,000 to be redistributed to all other placements. It's best ball format, which in my humble opinion is the most convenient way for you to draft. You have 20 rounds to build your rosters for depth. Each week, you start the following positions: 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex. At the end of the week, the best overall performances will be applied to your weekly total. So no more leaving points on the bench, no more waiver wires, no more trades, none of that garbage. Get that garbage out of here. You literally just draft it and forget unless you're winning life-changing amount of money. So sign up today on Drafters Fantasy using promo code DISCO to double your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Let's get back to the chat. Now, chat, you guys have been absolutely incredible. You guys have been popping in, asking questions. I will try to get to as many of your questions as humanly possible. Please pop in your questions. We will try to prioritize that. But if the conversation is going good, guys, I got to keep the conversation going good. And thank you guys all for popping by. Shout out to Huhames with the Huhaim raid. I was watching you up until we were about to go live. Great channel, great person. It couldn't happen to a better person. So we got a question here, Updog and Debro and Sleez. I'll let you guys take the floor here. Who's a better team to stack, Detroit or Cincinnati this year?
I'm more
going
inclined for
Bengals.
Cincy. Yeah, I'm more inclined for Cincy, only because I think a lot of things just from the 100-foot view point to regression possibly for Detroit. Cincinnati is, I mean, we know their defense is going to be absolutely terrible. We know what that offense is going to look like.
I'd say value-wise, too. I mean, it's kind of a difference because the Bengals are higher up on your value, but you can get Gesicki late. It's hard to get them all. But Detroit
Chase
without
Brown,
Ben Johnson, I think it's a regression coming from the Lions offense, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some excellent comments in here. Mossy saying, I like how this doesn't tell you specific players to draft, but tells you what teams to make sense to look at. It's an excellent point. Jonathan Taylor, I know you're out on him, D-Bro. I'm kind of back in on Jonathan Taylor.
So I'm curious here, Updog. Type me in running back, Niners, Falcons, wide receiver, round 2. What's my target late for a team?
Let's see here.
While you do that, Stat ATL says, really looking at Updog's takes on each team after this draft based on his sheet. That's also excellent. Speaking of which, we got to shout out everybody from Disco Ball Nation in this draft. Obviously, D-Bro gets the 101. I think this is the second time you drafted with us this year.
Yeah.
With the 101, which is
okay. Look at Garrett Wilson, baby. Tell him what's up.
Pretty spectacular. I'm out on Garrett Wilson at ADP. I think he's overrated. But you got yours truly at the 103. Uncle Ruggs at the 104. Shout out to Uncle Ruggs. Latomsky at the 107 with the robust RB start. I'm here for it. Stat ATL from 3,000 miles in the air. He's flying, but he's still drafting with us. Shout out to him. He's at the 108. Willie 86 at the 109. Tebow Time at the 111 and Sleezbomb back at the 112. You've been drafting at the back end of these lobbies way too much. Did I miss any good comments, any good questions? Yeah, pop them in, guys. And obviously, if I don't get to your question, like if you guys want to do like a super chat, all 100% of the super chats will be responded to and answered. But yeah, I'll try to get to all of it. But I want to keep the conversation flowing. Now, we got theory aside. I have a few questions that I'm curious about myself. And what we'll do is we'll start with Debro, then we'll go Updog, and then we'll go Sleezbomb, and then I'll finish off with each one of these topics, and we'll just keep that order. So question number 1, will this year's wide receiver 1 be another Triple Crown winner? If not Jamar Chase, who is your wide receiver 1 this year in this format? D-Bro, you're up.
I don't know if there'll be a Triple Crown winner. I think there's too many good wide receivers that I think that's going to probably get split up. Chase was just in an insane spot last year. Chase still is my wide receiver 1, but I am very, very open taking a lot of shots on other wide receivers to be dark horse wide receiver 1 overalls.
Who are those wide receivers?
I mean, outside of Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb, which I think they're obvious. The other guys that I really love that I think are in that bucket are Brian Thomas Jr., Drake London, and yeah, that's about it. I mean, as far as like outside of the top few guys, you could make a case for Puka too, but I think Adams is gonna probably the touchdowns probably get him where he doesn't get to truly like wide receiver 1. I think the 2 best bets on the board you can make outside of those guys is BTJ and Drake London.
I love it. Updog, same question, buddy.
I'm of the same mindset, man. I love Drake London this year. I think he has big time dark horse wide receiver 1 potential.
That's why he's on my team, baby.
I just love the thought of
shout out to Sleez with an elite start here.
Yeah, Michael Penix is a legitimate gunslinger, like the actual definition of the word, and they're gonna ball out, man. This guy, like, his target share over his 3 games with Penix was insane, and if they actually like let it loose, this guy's he's got the path, like that's the thing is most of these guys don't have the path, like yep. He's got no competition, and if they crank up the pass rate, he's gonna do it. So yeah, Drake London's my pick 100%.
All right, Sleezbomb, will this year's wide receiver 1 be a Triple Crown winner? And if it's not Jamar Chase, who's the wide receiver 1 this year?
Man, you guys took all the good points. Left me hanging. Drake London is my dark horse wide receiver 1, but I still have Jamar Chase as wide receiver 1, but I don't think he's going to be a Triple Crown with the T. Higgins addition and, Chase Brown's breakout last year. I know their defense, like D-Bro said earlier, is going to be awful. We've said this all year. Let's just go outside the box here. I'm going to go with Nico Collins if there's another dark horse wide receiver 1. With how he was balling last year till injury.
Little Stroud bounce back.
And Stroud's sophomore slump, I'm not buying it for year 3.
I like the Nico Collins take simply because, like, if you look at the target share, which wasn't a lot, and yet how much production he had in the overall offense. Crazy. I believe he was responsible for 40% of their total offensive yards in production, which is absurd on almost 20% target share. That just screams efficiency and explosiveness. I think there is a path where it could be Nico Collins. I do like that take a lot. And honestly, I know D-Bro so well, and I know how much he loves Drake London. I actually screenshotted a Drake London statistical thing here, so I got to pull up my phone. It says, just a reminder that Drake London had 39 targets, 352 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns during his 3 games played with Michael Penix last season. Mm-hmm. What that means is, if we're talking about just, obviously it's a small sample size. It's not the largest sample size that we'd like to see based off of efficiency and whatnot. But if that's any indication on things to expect and what to expect moving forward, Drake London should have wide receiver 1 upside. I'm just not making that bet. I think he has top 5 upside. I love him in the second round. He's probably my favorite or second favorite click behind Devon Achane in the second round. It's still either BTJ or Puka Nacua for me. I think Puka Nacua is I don't know why he's criminally underrated and why a lot of people are writing him off. When healthy, he was the wide receiver 2 in fantasy football points per game. He is absolutely phenomenal. And, if Liam Cohen can unlock Brian Thomas Jr., if he can unlock Trevor Lawrence, we're talking about a league winner. We're talking about somebody who's going to break fantasy football. I just don't think either one of those guys are going to do it as Triple Crown winner. We've been blessed and very lucky to see, a couple Triple Crown winners the last couple of years just win fantasy football leagues or, just make us feel terrible for not drafting those guys. We've been very blessed to see that. All right, this is going good. Any other points on that, or can we move to the next topic?
No, I the only thing I wanted to say, regarding the whole entire wide receiver one conversation is that you got to say to yourself, does the math? Does this wide receiver have a realistic path to 160, 170 targets? Does he have a realistic path to double-digit touchdowns? Because if you cannot say those things, like 150 plus targets, double-digit touchdowns, if one of those things you can't, in your mind's eye, say, how do they get there? They don't have a path to wide receiver one overall. They just don't, because you're going to need that type of volume and that type of touchdowns. Like, you're not going to see a guy that scores 6 touchdowns be the wide receiver one overall.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Who Hames raid? We're catching up with the chat. Conference.
That's a great point by Dynasty Dog. I was going to say that, but I didn't say it.
I'll pull that up shortly. BTJ at the 3rd pick. That's confidence. That's my guy. It's BTJ no matter what this year. What's up, Fly Eagles 39? Am I missing any questions? What you said, Dynasty Dog, with a great point?
Yeah. Drake London blew up on the Panthers in the last week of the season, which really inflated his numbers crazy.
I'm not. That's not the crux of my argument for Drake London and the upside. For me, the crux of it is he is legit the clear dude there that can earn a 30 to 32% target share. He is the clear red zone guy, and for me, what elevates him to that point is there was so much low ADOT stuff with Kirk Cousins last year. He is actually going to get downfield usage this year.
Yeah, Kirk was the show of himself.
Yeah, it should be night and day, man. Like with Penix compared to Kirk, it's the exact opposite. You know, he's going to go downfield. He's going to throw deep. He's going to throw a lot.
I almost feel like the more I kind of because dude, I'm so in on Drake London and Bijan is my RB1. I feel like I'm almost like, if I'm saying that Drake London has that type of upside and Bijan's also my RB1, then, I mean, by proxy, am I too low on Michael Penix? You know what I mean?
That was literally going to be
sure.
my next question, because this became like an Atlanta Falcons just fan show right now.
Which is what Updog wants. He loves the Falcons.
And I'm here for it. So based off of this conversation that we're having here, where would you guys project Michael Penix to finish on the year?
I'm going QBs 15 to 17. He doesn't have a lot of rushing upside.
Yeah.
He kind of runs to get rid of the ball. He doesn't take sacks. He's not a run for, positive yardage. He's a run to not take sacks and get rid of the ball, which is something else that makes me a little bit more bullish on Drake London. But yeah, what were you saying, Debro?
I'd say QB 15. I don't know if he's going to have the passing volume to finish as a top 12 guy unless he has some type of 6.5, 6.3, basically 6% passing touchdown rate or higher, because I don't think that Atlanta is going to be a top 5 to 10 passing rate or pace team. I think they're probably most likely, with the construct of their defense, going to be a middle of the road type of team. So if that's the case, and he's not going to run, then he probably needs a crazy high passing touchdown rate.
Yeah, so if I'm not mistaken, they were a top 9 rushing rate team last year under the new offensive coordinator. I don't think that we're going to see that get any lower anytime soon.
I don't think they started that though, Disco. I'll pull it up, but I don't think they started as I think that was a kind of a proxy of Kirk Cousins being terrible too.
That is an excellent point. I honestly didn't even consider. I was kind of just looking at the numbers and not necessarily evaluating the way you just did that. That's why you're the guy. So 2 Mules in a Cart, while you're doing that, Debro, 2 Mules in a Cart says, who agrees Mitchell is the best RB in KC? I mean, we might see the Raheem Mostert situation there, but it's still Brashard Smith for me. And it's not even close.
Yes.
I mean, it could still be Pacheco. We're all writing him off because of the injury. I am as well, but I mean, still, it's going to be his job to lose.
I just think he could lose it.
Right. I think he's lost it already. Shout out to everybody on Twitter. Sleez has 193 people watching on Twitter. I have 672 people watching on Twitter. If you guys want to help a brother out, it would really mean the world and help this channel grow, come over to the Big Draft Energy YouTube channel and smash a like. Would mean the world. Thanks everybody for tuning in and supporting, the dream of being a fantasy football content creator. Thank you for all the guests here on the panel. Generally appreciate it. Best Ball on Call says like number 31. Holy crap, that's a lot. Jonathan Coe is being facetious, saying the Lions are going to suck. Fade across the board. I mean, technically, one of my biggest fades is Amon-Ra St. Brown this year. Sorry, just gonna put that out there. Sorry
Not the sun god.
I don't like him at value either, to be honest.
I mean, I much rather, if I do take a shot on a guy there, obviously redraft format, you kind of want the safe floor, especially if it's PPR. In basketball, I just much rather the value that you're getting Jameson Williams and the production output that you could get from Jameson Williams in terms of spike weeks. Other than the 1 week against Buffalo, Amon-Ra St. Brown was all right. He wasn't anything spectacular. All right. So this next set of questions is who will have a better fantasy football outing in PPR in this format here on Drafters Best Ball PPR? Who will have a better 2025 fantasy outing this season in this format? Devon Achane or Derrick Henry? They both go off the board relatively the same time, the 203, the 204. Debro, Achane or Henry?
Sorry, I'm just tilting at somebody taking freaking Justin Fields unstacked. That's just lovely. I still think it's the big dog until he hangs up the cleats. I've got concerns about. I mean, we have concerns about Achane, whether he can hold up the offensive line, the Constitution. I'm kind of worried that, like, just in general, that. Hold on, I'm on here. Where is he?
You don't feel they're going to rest Henry more with their defense getting the ball back more this year?
No. Henry's going to get the freaking ball. I'm not worried about that. I don't think he signs up to play the rest of his career there. If he's worried about rest, then he's not shown any slowdown at all. I have full confidence in Henry. The other part about it, like, I'm worried, like, Miami just could become a dumpster fire, man. Like, if they start off like 0-4, 0-5, like, Mike McDaniel could be fired by week 7.
Yeah, it's worrisome seeing if, you know, Miami's, if the offense they took on at the end of last year is actually like what they plan on running out this year. You know, like, we all want them to be the high-powered offense they were 2 years ago, but maybe that's just gone. You know, so that's another risk with Miami.
I mean,
I respect it.
When Achane is out there with Tua, he's the -- points per touch guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
He is, but how much, like, if they change the constitution of that offense, if they change the constitution of that offense at all, like, and he's not just checking it down, either him or Jonnu or both of them are going to get hurt with that offense.
But you got to look at it this way.
I mean,
the first year we saw Achane pop, and obviously there was injury situation there, but the first year we saw Devon Achane pop, he didn't do it as a pass catcher. He did it as just like a pure, you know, outside zone, hit the hole and go runner on the floor. Second year, he did it more as a pass catcher. And, like, I hate the narrative that, like, 300 touches is terrifying for him and we don't know if he'll hold up. He had, 290 touches last year? I think he can hold up. And if we're concerned about Teron Armstead retiring, Teron Armstead practically retired last year. He hardly played. He didn't play any snaps. I don't hate the left tackle that they brought in the second round from Minnesota. I think any improvement on that offensive line is an improvement because it was a dumpster fire last year. Devon Achane, when it's all said and done,
RB1 upside.
He's very close to my RB1 right now, especially in PPR format. And I think he's the best value in round 2. I think Devon Achane is terribly slept on. And if he could put both what we saw in his rookie year, what he did on the floor, mix it with the volume that he got as a pass catcher last year, we're talking about one of the best running back fantasy football seasons we've ever seen. And I'm talking CJ2K stuff.
It's possible. I mean, it's possible. Is the offensive line going to open up those holes for him?
I mean, the recipe for a young offensive line that has improved from last year. Once again, last year was a dumpster fire. This year it has improved. They've brought in some plug and play pieces. One of their left tackles was one of my favorite scouted left tackles. Dude's a road grader. I absolutely love him. I think he's terrible in the pass pro, but the run pro, he is phenomenal. He could set the edge like no other.
I mean, I like Sivanea as a prospect. So
yeah, I just can't pronounce his name, and I butcher it every single time. I do like him. I think it's improved offensive line, and I think we're going to see him not do it on the ground, particularly not do it in the pass game, particularly. I think we're going to see Devon Achane do all of it. We're going to see the complete season with Devon Achane. Everybody wants to write off this Miami Dolphins offense because Tua's been hurt last year, but the year before, that offense broke fantasy football. Tyreek Hill was a league winner. Jalen Waddle still kind of sucked. Their tight end was non-existent, and Jonnu Smith is probably the worst pick in fantasy football this year. Just putting that out there. But I think I want to invest in Jalen Waddle. I want to invest in Tua Tagovailoa, and Devon Achane is probably the greatest pick you can make in this format in fantasy football.
I'm here for it. I think he's going to go nuclear.
Yeah, I mean,
it's already
it's tough. Like I share the concerns of being scared, about this Miami offense. That being
Scared
said,
money don't make money.
Yeah, well, that being said, they're cheaper than they've ever been. Like, not so much A-Chain, but the rest of them, right? And something you'll see in my sheets, Miami, it loves Miami for the playoff weeks. Their schedule down the stretch is literally the best. So I'm not going to be scared. I'm going to be clicking these guys, especially on the Dog app and on DK.
They have a tough matchup at the end. They have the Bucks though, right at the end. That's a good defense.
Yeah,
if they stay healthy.
Well,
no, the Bucks
if those cornerbacks hit the rookies they got, I'm not too scared about the pass defense though.
Yeah, the pass defense is terrible, and if we're looking at what they gave up,
but they're going to get after Tua.
They may get after Tua, but like they also give up the most receptions to opposing backs. So that's in PPR format is fantastic for Devon Achane.
Yeah, Tua gets the ball out quick, man.
It doesn't matter what defense he's playing against. He always sees massive targets.
Yeah. All right. The chat. I'm liking this discussion. I'm liking these talking points. I'm loving this. This is fun. Obviously, I got another one for us. I kind of regret drafting Patrick Mahomes here because I kind of have to.
Pissed off Justin Fields went.
I believe it. I think I'm done at tight end here. Because I can't really just invest and reach in Trevor Lawrence. So hopefully he falls, unless the guy who took Travis Hunter takes him. But let's get to the next talking point. Sleez, since you're still up there, we'll get you to start this one off. All right. Who will have a better 2025 fantasy football outing?
Drake London.
Drake London or Amon-Ra St. Brown. Once again, I did this before we went live. I didn't anticipate this would be like the Drake London show. I think it's unanimous.
I do think we're giving the Sun God a little disrespect here. He doesn't deserve it. And the guy has just been incredible. And he's kind of at the point now where we're a little bored with him. He's a little too safe, and he just slides into the back of the first. And he's coming off this surprise knee scope, right? And we're kind of just all forgetting about him. And
to that point, Updog, are we? And I'm not saying we because I'm not with all of it, but. Do we feel like the field is hyping up Jameson Williams just because of coach speak just a tad much?
Probably. I mean, his price is kind of weird because it's already yo-yoed once. Like he started in the 4th, and then he went to the mid-5th, and now he's all the way back up in the 4th.
Like I don't see him as a profiled guy that's going to earn a 26% target share. Like I don't see that. He's magically popping up,
right? Like I think he had like the league high like yards per catch last year.
Top is 20 past. It just tells you.
I mean, I'm just going to buy into the Lions again and just assume that they're going to run out a similar offense to last year and that they're going to score a lot of points. I think people are kind of on the fence because, they lost the OC and things could be different. And yeah, man, I just think buying Detroit after what we've seen them do for 2 seasons isn't a bad idea.
I also think to that point that people don't understand how pivotal Dan Campbell is in the offensive meetings. He's not a defensive-minded head coach. Like he worked on the offensive side of the ball. He was a former tight end. He was a tight ends coach. His background is offense, not defense. Just because he's a, rub some dirt on it type of coach, I think people automatically associate him being defensive minded, and he's not. So I don't think that they're going to see this big monstrous dip just because freaking Ben Johnson left is what I'm getting to.
Yeah. All right. I'm up. Before all that, I got to. So we're talking with Drafters Royalty here on stream.
Yeah, what up, Updog?
So Updog did finish second 2 years ago, and he finished second to this guy in the chat, Mr. Dorito. He finished first. He won the entire thing. He said, "Love all the Dolphins. True Ricky Bobby plays." If Dorito likes the Dolphins, I gotta be.
If you're not first, you're last, Dorito. That's true. That's true. It's a lesson I had to learn very, Yeah, it was tough.
150,000 USD is not enough, buddy. You take that and you enjoy it.
Jaden Reed plays the second half. It's a whole different story, but wasn't meant to be.
Dorito says,
I'll never forgive Greg Newsome for not tackling Najee. That cost me $20K. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, that was a crazy one, honestly. I remember watching that. That was when Felix won the DK Millie, and Najee Harris broke like a 30-yard run at the end of the game, his longest run of the year.
Just gave it up,
and the defense just didn't tackle him. And Felix won a best ball slate on that run.
That is one of the few times I have tilted so hard I legit threw my remote.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was Chase Brown falling in the end zone.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's Chase Brown. It's
that took me out of 5th to 22nd in the mini last year. That hurt, and I know it's the mini, but still, I want the bragging.
Still, man, money's money, baby.
Yeah, exactly. It went from like 5,000 or close to that to $250, and I'm bitter about it. I'm bitter. Still depositing. Dorito says, "What's up, Updog?" So I'm gonna agree with Huhames here. This is kind of why I'm out. Just not necessarily on the Detroit Lions, but I'm out on everybody, not Jahmyr Gibbs or Sam Laporta on the Detroit Lions. Jameson Williams is somebody who I have not clicked a lot, and I will continue not to click a lot. It comes down to who's capable of making explosive plays. This is part of it. Zeitler is a road grader. Dude is an absolute monster, and he protected the interior of that offensive line. We've all seen Jared Goff with bad blocking, and we've seen Jared Goff get rushed and rattled. They did not do a good job addressing that. Obviously, their center, Ragnow, retiring doesn't help either. The integrity of the interior of their offensive line is pretty much gone. They have a very tough schedule when it comes to defensive tackles, predominantly 3 techniques. It's going to be rough. It's going to be a rough go for them. It's going to be a rough go for David Montgomery because majority of his touchdowns came off of the center, the 1 hole or the 3 hole to the right. So that between the center guard and between the guard and tackle on dives, what have you. So I'm out on them. It really comes down to who's capable of making major big plays. And I think Jahmyr Gibbs' game-breaking speed makes him the only piece that I want in like the first 5 rounds. And then Sam Laporta, I think, is going to give you a safe ROI. He's still going relatively way too early. I'm concerned about Jared Goff. We've seen Jared Goff with elite play calling. He's been blessed to have Ben Johnson and Sean McVay, and he's been a successful quarterback with those two. And we've also seen him have some really terrible play calling. He's been absolutely atrocious with the terrible play calling. I think we're going to see terrible play calling this year. And I understand what you said earlier about, this is the Campbell offense and whatnot. Ben Johnson re-innovated. He reinvigorated. He made that offense move and hum the way it moved and hummed. I think Campbell was a beneficiary of a really, really incredible offensive coordinator. For that, I'm not interested in the Detroit Lions this year. I don't think the Detroit Lions make the playoffs this year. Yeah, it's Green Bay. It's Green Bay.
I'm not in on Detroit either. But that division's gotten way better, man. I'm not in on Detroit. They're going to be a cusp playoff team, if anything.
I mean, I think they can make the playoffs. I don't think they're taking the division. I actually think the Vikings are winning that division.
Packers, man.
All right, we got a good question here from my guy Dynasty Dog, since Updog's up here, and we'll get the dogisms to answer. Off-topic question. I know he's on your team, D-Bro, so we'll get you to answer this next. What do we think about Caleb Johnson's fantasy outlook this year? Updog?
I mean, I like this guy a lot. He's been like a mainstay of my zero RB builds when I need a first running back that has like RB1 ceiling. I think he can just be a Najee replacement and be better, right? Even though he doesn't have the same capital as Najee, like they basically drafted him in the same mold with the same concept. And I don't think it's hard to see this guy, being the RB2, like the rookie RB2. We don't know if it's going to be Judkins or if it's going to be Henderson. He's got my bet to be the second best rookie in the class and to like take a lot of work. And if the Steelers are good, something I've been doing a lot is adding him in my Steelers stacks. Like I'll get Metcalf, I'll get Rodgers. Like if this is one of the offenses that performs and, plays faster than people assume they're going to play, people assume they're going to be slow as heck, but But yeah, I think it's a great spot for the kid. He can easily be an RB1. I really like taking him.
All right, we got our guy Trader Joe saying, D-Bro, what's up, brother? Tip over on the Twitter side. Head over to the Big Draft Energy YouTube channel. Tip, I know you know where it is, buddy. Come on over here. They're all saying, what's up, D-Bro? I mean, we're all big fans. And I just got to take a moment and say what a blessing it is to have you here on this show, D-Bro. You are as humble as it comes. The humility for you to hang out and chop it up with the little guys is it just goes above and beyond to show, you know, what kind of person you are and what kind of man
I'm
you
still
are.
a little guy, bro. Come on.
No, you
are
are
trying to be a dude.
You're him. You're the guy, and we love you. We appreciate you, guys. So moving forward, I'm just like, I appreciate you tuning in on Twitter, but it would mean the world to me if you guys came over to the Big Draft Energy YouTube channel. I'm just going to ignore Twitter comments respectfully. Tip says, don't sleep on Tesla. Nobody's sleeping on him. Yes, Updog. Caleb reminds me of Benny Snell. So let's go with you, D-Bro. Caleb Johnson, where you at with him? What the hell happened to Updog?
I'm fixing it, sorry.
You're good.
Caleb Johnson is a top 24 running back. He's in the RB3 range. I think it's wrong. I think you look at projected volume and it makes no damn sense. I mean, Najee Harris was 10th amongst total touches amongst running backs. Do we think, I love Jalen Warren just as much as everybody else, but I mean, Caleb was probably sniffing 250 opportunities in this offense, and he has something that Najee had never had, and that's big play potential. And so I think the Steelers have told us what they want to do with this backfield by drafting Caleb Johnson. I think this team is going to run more plays. I'm not telling you they're going to be top of the league in pace, although if you look at Arthur Smith's history when he's had competent quarterback play, the rushing rate is high, but the pace does pick up. I do think that they are going to throw the ball more this year just because of Aaron Rodgers than they did last year, because, I mean, they were throwing at a bottom 5 clip. So I don't think that repeats. So all of this boils down to the Steelers. I don't think they're one of the best offenses in the NFL, but I do think they are probably going to outperform at least current expectations.
So I'm not in on Caleb. Sorry.
Why? Tell me.
He's a
tell me
Warren
why.
truther.
I know you love
He's got a
Jalen Warren,
Warren
but
addiction.
outside of a Jalen Warren rant, why are you out on Caleb then?
I think.
Can I jump in? Some points you got? Told me he couldn't block. Told me there's no explosive run rate speed from Iowa in the Big Ten.
I said
I'm
he's
listening.
not. No, you. If you're going to quote me, you got to quote me right. I said he's not as good of a blocker as Jalen Warren. Jalen Warren is probably the best pass protecting back in football. You're going to need to protect Aaron Rodgers because that offensive line is still absolutely dog shit. I'm not saying that he's a bad blocker, but he's also not a reliable blocker that Aaron Rodgers and that offense can depend on. So just for perception situation where he's in third down situations and it's coming down to passing scenarios, I think Jalen Warren in PPR format is somebody who I want to invest in. When it comes down to touchdown equity, how often do we think this offense under Arthur Smith, by the way, rest in peace to his father, the founder of
FedEx.
Yeah. Rest in peace to his father. He just passed away recently. Do we think this offense is going to make it down to the red zone very often? And if so, how often do we think they're going to hand it off to a running back in that scenario, not throw with Aaron Rodgers? We've seen this time and time again in an Aaron Rodgers offense where he's going to drop back and he's going to pass. So Caleb just comes down to touchdown equity. And I don't think the equity is going to be there for Caleb Johnson. So if the difference maker in PPR format is the actual reception scenario, based off of my analysis, my projections of the game script, I'm going to go with Jalen Warren 100% of the time. I'm leaning Jalen Warren 100% of the time. Caleb Johnson's, and unless it's a dynasty, I'm not drafting Caleb Johnson, especially at this ADP. It's inflated. I much rather take Jalen Warren. Jalen Warren will outperform him. That is the bet I'm making, and I'm standing on business. If I'm wrong, I'll own it. I'm not telling anybody to listen to me, but if I'm wrong, I'll own it. You guys know transparency is very important to me. If I'm wrong, I'll own it. But I mean, I'm
my main
wrong.
issue with the Jalen Warren stuff is we've done this a couple years in a row now.
Yeah. I think the Steelers have kind of already told us loud. It just depends on whether we're willing to listen or not. They've already told us what they think of Warren.
I mean, they also told us what they think about Najee, but at the end of the day, they didn't use Najee properly, and they also didn't have good offensive line. Like, we're also writing off Najee Harris, saying Omarion Hampton's going to be the guy. He is the guy.
I'm not
Najee
writing
Harris,
off Najee.
Okay,
I'm worried. I think
saying,
Omarion Hampton's ADP is ludicrous, to be honest.
Thank you, but I'm saying we as like the fantasy football community, the vast majority, and you can agree with this, D-Bro, the vast majority believes that it's Omarion Hampton's show. Najee Harris is an asset, especially because he's on a 1-year contract, right? People are forgetting that Najee Harris, on a consistent basis, behind one of the worst offensive lines in football historically since he's been in Pittsburgh. He's had defensive tackles, middle linebackers, their mothers and their sisters literally camping out in the backfield as he's taking the handoff, and he's still managing to get positive production. He's as consistent as it comes when it comes to not missing time. I think I heard one of your co-hosts, Debro, say he's the king of stamina. He's the king of stamina because he had to put up some of the worst scenarios, the worst play calling ever. Now he's blessed. He's blessed behind a spectacular offensive line, and we're going to see both of these guys, Najee and Jaylen Warren, be absolute league winners, especially in best ball. I'm in on both of them. I absolutely love both of them. But I'm loving this discussion. I'm loving this back and forth. Sleez, do you have anything else to add about Caleb Johnson?
You guys told me in last after you guys drop all the knowledge bombs. Leave me in the trenches taking grenades. Dude, I've been telling you forever. I don't think Jaylen Warren's ever a true 3-down back. I mean, like D-Bros alluded to like 500 times through Twitter and shows. Was it 299 touches for Najee? Sign me up for Caleb all the way.
I feel like every time D-Bro's on the show, we're arguing about Jaylen Warren for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, look,
it happens every year.
I think I give the big pushback too, because I've been one of the biggest Jaylen Warren truthers over the last few years. Like,
he's never even been a top 20 running back in his career. What are we talking about here?
I love the guy, but to me, at a certain point, I just got to look up and say, okay, Pittsburgh is browbeating us with, okay, they don't want him to be the heavy volume guy, and then they go out and they draft a guy in the 3rd round, which, by the way, was their second pick of the draft because they didn't have a freaking 2nd round pick. So, to me, it's just they're telling us all we need to do.
He should never have fallen that far, in my opinion. Either. That's a great.
Fair. I don't disagree with that at all.
All right, FK Cooler says Steelers went out and got their guy, and their system is the best fit Caleb could have gotten buying. Hey man, Arthur Smith all of you guys. I'm expecting him. Like, it's not going to be Freiermuth. It's going to be Darnell Washington. It's not going to be DK Metcalf. It's going to be Calvin. He just does weird things, guys. And I'm here for the Jaylen Warren take. All right,
now.
All right, please.
Good. By training camp, when it's over, Jaylen Warren will drop to round 80.
And I'll draft more of him.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what happens with these rookie running backs. There's a lot of questions, like with Hampton, with Henderson. Like, I feel like the only one that doesn't have questions is like Judkins, and he's
RJ Harvey shouldn't have.
RJ Harvey has questions.
Yeah. I mean, Harvey. Like they all have huge question marks, and like we kind of priced them up pretty high, like 5-6, like. And it's tough to say, like Ramondre might just come down the tunnel and be the first back, like in all these scenarios, they have guys nipping at their heels who we've like kind of.
You're more worried about J.K. Dobbins than I am.
I'm not worried about J.K. Dobbins.
I'm not worried about him at all.
I actually McLaughlin. None of those guys concern me.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely am.
I think one of the most egregious things we're doing right
guys.
now, or should I say, not that we are doing this. I think one of the most egregious things that's happening right now, whether it's rankings, ADP, best ball, I think RJ Harvey and Omarion Hampton's ADP should be flipped.
Ooh.
So I mean, just to touch up on your point.
I mean, Harvey's getting to his like cheapest value right now, basically. He's
it's crazy. Like, one of those offenses, like, take the names out of it. Both these guys drafted in the top 2 rounds. So let's take the draft capital. I don't give a shit about that. One of these guys is in an offense that literally does not throw to their running backs at all.
Yep.
And if you compare these guys side by side, who are you more worried about taking work away, Najee Harris or J.K. Dobbins? It should be Najee Harris.
100%.
So then why in the hell is Hampton being drafted so much ahead of RJ Harvey? I legit don't get it.
I think it's honestly just the pre-draft value we assign these guys. Like, we gave Omarion the RB2 like status
because people weren't high enough on Harvey pre-draft.
Yeah, and I think it's just kind of a legacy of that and like what people expect Omarion to do behind the You know, with the
Every running
Chargers.
back taken in the first round has always thrived in their first year, though, except for ETN got hurt. So I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
past 5
he's
years,
just bad. I think is the problem with him.
I think Hampton's a league winner.
Hold on, we're jumping topics right now. ETN bad at football. Whoa,
Confirmed.
Whoa!
He got hurt.
let's take
got
a step
duck feet,
back.
right?
It's a lot. We got 40 people in our YouTube stream right now. Jeez Louise, God bless you guys. Thank you so much for popping by. Make sure you guys smash that like. Make sure you guys are subscribed. I appreciate you. No Cap Mac always swinging by. He says, "Yo, boys, how we doing? Sorry, I'm late. Had dinner with the fat. What was for dinner? No Cap Mac." Shout out to NFL DFS Picks with this comment. My buddy who has a sports radio show in Pittsburgh thinks it's going to be Warren this year. No offense, but I would never listen.
I don't care about talk radio.
Yeah, I would never listen to
care less.
I would never listen to Pittsburgh sports radio. Never.
I would never listen to sports radio just in general. I can care less. It's all just gut feels and bullshit narratives.
So I like what Dynasty Dog said here. And Sleez, I'm going to ask you to just add on this point. He says, D-Bro is right. 45-year-old Harvey is going to show out. Great comment. Great guy. Great logo. Whoever designed your logo, brilliant. So,
yeah, I'd love to know how old Dynasty Dog is. Sit here and call a 24-year-old ancient.
So I need to caveat this because I think D-Bro hit it on the head, and I'm just gonna take it home for him. Every year, we know that the running back in a Sean Payton offense is going to be fed volume when it comes to receptions in PPR format. RJ Harvey fits the mold. RJ Harvey, he's not like J.K. Dobbins is not going to feel
Williams last year.
Javonte Williams still had a lot of receiving targets, right? What he did with the opportunity and the targets, that's between him and Jesus. But at the end of the day, the opportunity was
he got the targets. That's for sure.
He got the targets.
That's the first I've heard that.
There. I think Harvey has the capability and the ability to take home these receptions and turn it into some incredible fantasy football production. I'm 100% with D-Bro here. I'm not just sucking up. When you're looking at theory, when you're looking at concept, when you're looking at coaches, which is kind of like my deal and what I look into, RJ Harvey's in the perfect scenario and perfect situation. I believe Omarion Hampton's touchdown dependent, and the touchdown equity will be there, but it'll also be split with Najee Harris. Any disagreements?
No, I don't
know. But I mean, is Harvey going to be the goal line back down there? Is it going to be bully ball?
It doesn't have to be in PPR format. We've seen several running backs, especially your guy Devon HN, be just fantasy relevant in PPR format simply off of the reception ability and the volume that they're getting in the receiving game alone. We know that Bo Nix likes to check it down on third down. We know that RJ Harvey is exactly like he spent the capital. They're telling you exactly what they're going to do. And I'm sick and tired of the RJ Harvey bashing because a freaking guy like J.K. Dobbins, who has no ACL, no Achilles, no MCL, like he hardly has a freaking contract. We're concerned that J.K. Dobbins, a guy who's never really been a receiving back, is going to take work from a receiving back who's brought in the scenario.
I want to just add on top of all the good points that Disco just did. Just simply putting it this way, who's going to be the goal line back in this offense? The guy that they drafted in the second round or the guy that was on the unemployment line until basically the middle of the summer?
Facts.
I mean, he rotates a lot. He's rotated back since Alvin Kamara. That's
Sean Payton supported how many years of not only that, but top 24 production? He's literally had years where two running backs have both been RB2 or better. So even if, I mean, like to me, this sounds like more of a case of J.K. Dobbins probably is getting a little bit too much disrespect, if anything. But it's not something that's going to like pull me off of RJ Harvey.
Dynasty Doc says I was trolling about the age Harvey.
Yeah, and I'm just giving you shit, Dynasty.
Yeah. He's going as RB 18 and 19 right now. I mean, that's about where he should be, in my opinion. It's not too high.
Yeah, I think it's fair. And like with the recent dip with Dobbins coming in, like that's what's going to get me on Harvey. I think it was a little rich before, and you know everyone was claiming their love for this guy on Twitter, and man, it was giving me Trey Sermon flashbacks, bro. Like that's what I was feeling. Not to compare the players, but that's what I was feeling, man. We're taking this guy in the 5th, and everyone's penciling him in as the volume back, you know, and sometimes they just doesn't work out, you know. So I'm not saying that's the case here. I just get really antsy when I hear a lot of people, you know, saying the same thing. And it could be one of those cases, or maybe this kid's just the real deal and he's going to get all the work. So
May I ask, based off of the big draft energy ROI theory, we have three phrases when we look at players at their current ADP. It's a buy if we think that we are currently drafting them at their floor and we have nothing but their ceiling to see. It's a fair if we think, well, you're going to get, fair equity based off of where you're currently drafting, or it's a push. You think that we're drafting them at their ceiling, their ADP is currently inflated, right? So between buy, fair, push, where would you guys categorize RJ Harvey? D-Bro, you're obviously a buy, correct?
Buy. I think he's a locked in. I have him at RB13, and I know I'm at the top of the market, but
I'm
fair.
I'm a buy as well. Sleez, you think he's fair? Are you leaning? So between the fair, are you leaning any particular way? Fair, push, fair, buy. Are you, or is just fair?
Fair. I mean, to use your lines, like you've used this a million times. He's never played an NFL snap. I've heard you say that millions of times for tons of rookies. He's never played an NFL snap, and we're going to put this guy over James Conner, who's been a top 10 running back.
Yeah, but James Conner's a dinosaur.
I'm just saying that's where he's going ahead of Conner. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, James Conner's a dinosaur.
A lot of these backs are, but
but James Conner's a value every single year
Conner
because people don't like James Conner. That's every year. You can't use James Conner as the example there, in my opinion.
Okay, Joe Mixon.
He's a value.
They're all old, but they're all also like all superstars, and like they shoved it down our throats last year. All these old running backs, and I could.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
And is that going to happen again this year? Or are we going to see regression to the mean where all these RB2s do not stay healthy?
That's certainly the question of the season.
With the excellent point saying James Conner only 4 years older than Harvey. I love that. I love that.
He's actually 5 years older.
I'm not out on Harvey though. I'm just more in on him, and I'm.
But here's the thing: does RJ Harvey outscore any James Conner or Joe Mixon if they're not hurt? Does he? No, he fucking does not.
Probably.
Yeah, he does.
How can you say he won't?
Yeah, he does.
Look at Mixon's numbers last year. Look at James Conner's number every year.
Look at the
that.
offensive
And then
line.
they added Chubb, and they also added a passing down back
Chubb's
there.
knees are blown apart.
I'm not that concerned about Chubb, but I'm saying, can he siphon some of the volume off of where he's not getting basically a 96% opportunity share every single week?
So
does Houston go more pass heavy this year?
They have to. They
leaned on Joe Mixon because they had nothing else that worked. The entire offense was broken last year.
And their offensive line has gotten significantly worse, which means that they're going to have to pass way more often. Before I go to my pushback on Sleez's point there, Updog, is Harvey a push or a buy? Or fair?
I think he's fair. I was fading him before the Dolphins news. Now I'm buying. Yeah.
I like this discount is one of the greatest blessings you can get in 2025 fantasy football.
Yeah. Chat,
you guys should definitely take it. And you should be grateful and run with it, because his ADP is only going to go up when people realize it's just the guy that we're worried about. His name is literally JK. Just kidding. So yeah, not worried about him. Not interested. So if we're looking at guys like James Conner, that offense needs to pass the ball a little bit more. They need to get more creative in their usage. The run rate that they had last year is not sustainable, especially for an aging back like James Conner. And I know the age comparison is a great comp, and it's a great, but we're talking about NFL wear and tear where he's had constant usage on a regular basis. Am I saying he's going to fall off of a cliff? Absolutely not. Am I going to say that his production is sustainable based off of the volume he had? Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. It's not sustainable. He can't do it. We're going to see Marvin Harrison Jr. get a little bit more usage and a lot more different looks instead of just being lined up out wide, which is absolutely criminal what they did with that kid last year. But that's for a different conversation. I don't think we're going to see James Conner repeat. And as for Joe Mixon, that entire Houston Texans situation, I want the receivers, and I don't even want CJ Stroud. I just want the receivers, because that offensive line is pathetic. And like, if it's a DST league, which I try to avoid, that's what I want as well. So yeah. Next talking point, and then we'll just look at our three drafts, just so we can keep on time. And I got like three more. Do you guys have time to go over three more here, or?
I'm good.
Oh yeah, I'm chilling.
Okay. Who will have a better 2025 fantasy outing this season in this format? Xavier Worthy or Terry McLaurin? D-Bro, the floor is yours.
This isn't even close, man. This is McLaurin, like, hands down. Xavier Worthy's ADP is kind of crazy to me, man. Like, I'm buying back into Rashee Rice. You didn't see Xavier Worthy did nothing last year until he got pigeonholed into the Rashee Rice role at the very end of the season. Until then, he did nothing. And I think what's kind of getting lost in the sauce and how I've come a little bit back into, because I was kind of avoiding this entire passing attack for a long time. And the more that I've had time to kind of like dice it up and figure out where I'm at, I think Rashee Rice has like top 5, top 7 upside. I think he's going to go right back into the role that he was in previously before he got hurt. I think because if you just look at all the parts and pieces of this lineup and these wide receivers and their skill sets, Rashee Rice or Xavier Worthy can play the Rashee Rice role. Rashee Rice can't do what Xavier Worthy can as far as stretching the field. Rashee Rice has also proven over not just the beginning of last season, but the ending of the season prior that he's really damn good in that role. And I don't see the Kansas City Chiefs offense changing this year where Mahomes goes back and he's throwing it way down the field and stuff. And this isn't just because I think everybody goes to defense and too high and them taking it away. I think what we're really, really missing here, Mahomes has objectively been one of the worst deep ball passers in the NFL over the last 2 seasons with this shift. That's not related to wide receivers, the metrics I'm talking about. He's been bottom 10 in CPOE. He's been top 10 in off-target rate on deep throws. So that's notwithstanding, because everybody's always like, oh, it's because the wide receivers. Bro, like him throwing it to a spot and throwing an accurate ball has nothing to do with the wide receivers getting open or not. That's Mahomes not playing well. And I think that kind of gets shoved under the rug because it is Patrick Mahomes.
Can I ask you a question?
McLaurin, easy.
Can I ask you a question, bro?
Yeah.
Is that due to the fact that he couldn't trust his blindside worth a damn in 2024?
I mean, it's possible, but I mean, is the blind side really the determinant of that when he's so good off script? Like, but that's not changing the fact that he can't throw a deep ball accurate to save his damn life.
There's only so much off script work you could do, especially throwing the ball deep, and to be accurate and to have a connection and rapport with his receivers. I think his offensive line situation has improved drastically. I'm going Worthy. I agree with.
I don't know about drastically, but I will say that they have improved.
Josh Simmons is my highest graded offensive lineman. He would have been the first tackle taken off the board had he not gotten injured, and he's healthy and ready to go. All signs are leading to him being good to go, and I'm just all in on Patrick Mahomes and the revenge tour this year. Give me Rashee Rice. Give me Xavier Worthy. I'm here for it. FK Cooler says it feels like we're buying McLaurin at his absolute all-time high price at age 31. Not loving that part. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think the chances of Washington to repeat what they did last year is not sustainable. But yeah, I'm going Xavier Worthy. I think Xavier Worthy's floor is top 10. I think his floor is potentially even top 5. I think Xavier.
I mean, his ceiling's top 5, top 10?
No, I'm saying his floor.
His floor?
His floor. That's why Xavier Worthy.
I can't get there, man.
You don't have to get there. But
how many touchdowns
on my winning lineups
for him to be there? Like to be that high.
Every last one of them. We're going to see Mahomes.
He's not going to be a red zone threat.
Mahomes revenge tour, 5,000 passing yards. Two top 10 wide receivers. Travis Kelce is going to be a top 5 tight end. That running game is going to be non-existent. You want to invest in the receiving backs. I'm calling my shot now. Clip it. This is what's going to happen. And if I'm wrong, I'll own it. I'm all in on the Patrick Mahomes revenge tour. He has the ability to be in the discussion as the greatest player ever, as the GOAT. He's in the same conversation in such a young career, in such a short span, as Tom Brady, as I think he's surpassed Joe Montana based off of what he's done in this current. I know the faces you guys are making. I'm here for it.
Possibly. I don't think he's already.
What people are saying right now, okay? It's the Swifties, it's the referees, it's just the optics of having the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and head and shoulders at the forefront. He hears all that. He's listening to it, Patrick Mahomes is locked and loaded. I'm all in Patrick Mahomes QB1 revenge tour. I want every one of his receiving weapons.
He's going to have to outscore people because they're not going to win, like, what was it, like 6 or 7 one-score games last year? Like, and like, I mean, basically they had voodoo dolls and everything broke right for them. Shit.
I'm here for it, brother. I'm here for it. Sleez,
Man.
what you got for us, buddy?
Let me in here right now. Give me Xavier Worthy over Terry McLaurin. I'm not going top 5, top 10 crazy floor like you are, but there's a couple things you have to look at here. So yes, when Xavier Worthy stepped in for his 80% playing the Rashee Rice role, he obviously got better. But look at the season here when you're looking at this. So Xavier Worthy was top 10 in red zone receptions. Do you know that he had 36.7% share to Terry McLaurin's 35.9, and he barely played half the beginning of the season with 60% snaps? So, I mean, yeah, Terry McLaurin has Debo there now, and Terry McLaurin survived off 13 touchdowns. I don't think he's going to do that again. His volume was lower than it's ever been in his career. I think he had 82 or 80 catches or whatever it was, and the lowest targets he's ever had. I don't see that happening again for Terry. He's one of the most inflated ADPs to me there is.
Yeah, the ADP is he's a major push for me this year for just using the BDE ROI theory. I love the take there, Sleez. It's very seldom that you and I agree on something, so I'm kind of concerned that we're in agreement here for what it's worth. What about you, Updog? Where are you at with him?
So I've always been a big fan of Terry. I've always thought he's had shit QB play, and he's been, a really good receiver that just needed a chance, to pop. And like certainly we saw him pop last year. We saw the Commanders take down the Detroit Lions. They almost went to the Super Bowl. Like, this is an ascending team, and I think it's completely reasonable to assume he runs back the season, and if not, exceeds it. Like, I'm not talking about 15 touchdowns. I'm just talking about this team being better and him scoring more points. I really do think that's in the cards. I know the price seems kind of crazy. But I'm willing to pay it when you have a generational QB talent like paired along with him. I have no problem with it. That being said, I really do like Worthy. I've kind of been like an anti-Rice guy, which is pretty tough right now, seeing him steam up 2 rounds in my face. But yeah, I'm just not going to buy the guy in the second round off a knee injury, and I think Worthy's like, on the cusp of a breakout and can have a big season. Would I take Worthy ahead of McLaurin? No, I don't think so. I think I would take McLaurin pretty easy there. But like I said, a lot of my stuff, I try to not IKB the situation, and I'm happy taking both these guys at, anywhere in that 3rd, 4th round range. Like, I have zero issue with it.
I love this comment here from Dom Asks. This is from Jack Lucene from the Worst Sports Channel. He says 15 combined TDs for Worthy. Book it.
Yeah, Russian
here
TDs
for
too,
it.
man. Why not?
I love it. That's fire. Stat ATL shout out from 1 week season. He's literally, on a plane right now tuning into us. I don't know how that works, but God bless you. He said, D-Bro, I tried to explain the floor and ceiling to Disco weeks ago, and Disco told you Disco knows what floor and fucking ceiling means, sir. And I'm standing on business. His floor. It's
crazy though.
Top 5. I know it's crazy, man, but I hit these at a rapid rate, and I believe in myself. And if I'm wrong, I'll be the first to admit it. I'll be the first to tell you guys.
The floor's on the roof.
Yeah, his floor is.
What's your exposure to Xavier Worthy? If you think he's that high, what's your exposure?
He's
to
my
him?
most owned player in best ball right now, 41%.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm standing on business. I'm not.
I mean, you're saying with your chest. I respect it, man.
Yeah,
I
I'm
it.
not Sleez and Travis Hunter. I'm sorry, Sleez. I had to.
No!
I'm sorry. That's my guy.
I didn't hear the beeping. I didn't know the bus was backing up, dude.
I'm sorry. He's up his exposure. All right, hold on. Squint says, Disco, you high on endorphins in life. This is such an awesome panel, and I could talk ball with these incredible people for forever. But yes, I'm high on life right now. Dorito says, this Disco Mahomes take has me fired. I'm fired up for you being fired up, Dorito. Shout out to you. If one of the goats, if one of the guys who took home the 500K is in on the Mahomes hype, I'm in on the Mahomes hype even more than I was originally. Where do you have Mahomes finishing this year, by the way, D-Bro? Just quickly before.
I've got him as a QB1, basically like QB11 right now. So basically just kind of running back what he's done the last 2 years. So
that hurts. All right. Since we're on the topic, who will have a better 2025 fantasy football outing in this format? Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes? D-Bro?
It's Burrow for me. I think Burrow is. People talk about like he's not going to run. It's the passing volume, him reproducing what he did. Dude, he's the guy that's got the perfect circumstances. Like if T and Chase stay healthy and stuff, the defense can be terrible. We know their pass rate over expected is going to be ridiculous. We know that he's going to throw the ball a crap ton. Like that's how Cincy's offense is built around Joe Burrow and that passing attack. So I think if anything, if one of these pocket passes, like Joe Burrow has it in his range of outcomes to go full Peyton Manning and throw like 45, 50 freaking touchdowns this year. Like that could happen.
That's what I'm projecting for Mahomes. Sleez, you're up.
I'm gonna pull a disco crazy call here. 5,000 yards is Joe Burrow's floor this year if everyone stays healthy.
All right.
And he smashes Patrick Mahomes if he stays healthy.
Sleez, what's your wife's name?
Natalie.
Hi, Natalie.
She's just in the background.
Hi,
I didn't know
Natalie.
you're there.
How you doing?
Picking out stuff so I can cricket.
Oh, it's a puppy. It's
Love
a
it.
puppy. Updog, Mahomes or Burrow?
So I'm a little worried about the. What's up, Pooch?
Her name's
Is that a Frenchie mix? What is that? Or a pity? What is
French
that?
pit.
Okay. Like seriously, that's a Frenchie and a pity mix?
Yep.
What? That's baller.
This is
But
really
anyway, sorry.
All right.
Yeah, so I'm a little worried about the Bengals. I mean, if we think back to last year, they were basically one game away from blowing it up. Like they were down bad, and if they didn't string together that epic run that they did, they literally might have been pulling starters in like week 9, week 10. Like it was that bad, right? Like they had their backs against the wall. And did they get that much better this year? What if they're going to get off to a classic Bengals start where they get behind the 8 ball? And, we're drafting these guys so high up the board.
Though, to run it over. Like there's no way now. It's all in.
I mean, it's all in, but all these guys got their bags. And, it makes me really nervous when we're taking these guys like T. Higgins in the second round. And the fact that this pairing is so common. Like the Bengal stack is literally like, it's in that little corner of the board and everyone's doing it the same way. These are the kind of things that sketch me out like a lot. So I'm just going to build a general Bengals fade into my action because I don't really like what's going on there at the 1-2 turn. Not to say I'm going to full fade these guys, no, but I'm just going to be a little more choosy. And I do think that the cheese pieces have a lot of value this year. Like they're the cheapest they've ever been. And they can
That's how I
rebound.
feel about the 49ers.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go out and say this, right? Last year, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase was my most owned stack. If you guys know me and you guys rock with me, last year was Jamar Chase no matter what. Didn't matter if it was the first or whatever. I was always drafting Jamar Chase, and I tried to stack it with Joe Burrow. A lot of people were out on Joe Burrow. The narrative was there. This year, I'm kind of not betting on Joe Burrow again. I'm not in on the whole Joe Burrow 5,000 yards thing. Last year, what they did was absolutely magical, and it was necessary. This year, I don't know if it'll be necessary because they just don't have the pieces to go that deep in the playoffs. They don't have the pieces to even potentially make the playoffs. They're the third best team in their division. I'm out on Joe Burrow. I'm out on T. Higgins. Patrick Mahomes revenge tour, all in. You guys already know that. So hold on. No Cap Max says Disco knows what floor and ceiling is, but he doesn't know what a mild take is. Only hot takes from the Disco party. But we hit those. We hit those. I love that comment.
That's
buddy.
a great comment.
That's a great comment. Jonathan Coe, shout out to Ralph Wiggums. He says Joe Burr, the 4-headed goats. All right. Last talking point, and then we'll look at some lineups.
Drop one on you.
Oh, go ahead. Drop it.
If the worst contract ran freaking franchise with stars, if they get Trey Hendrickson and Shamar Stewart figured out, does that change things for you?
Absolutely. But it has to be sooner rather than later.
Man, I think Stewart could be entering the NFL draft next year.
I think so too.
I think that's crazy.
I think he's going to stand on business. Now, I think they're more have a likelihood to sit here and get Hendrickson figured out. I don't know if Stewart gets figured out. That could be like a historic type of situation.
I mean, like
this is just the trend with the Bengals. Like
Oh, because
Like, they don't have the money.
Their owner is a cheap ass. That's why, like, Zach Taylor could go start out the season 0-9, and their owner's not going to fire him because he doesn't want to pay the freaking head coach if he's not there. Like, that's how simple it is. He doesn't want to pay anybody.
Did you guys read?
Ridiculous.
Did you guys read the clauses in the contract that would have caused him to make the contract go null and void and not be paid the guaranteed money that he was supposed to be paid? It's absolutely absurd. And apparently,
it's not Cincinnati, dude.
Apparently, it's not the only one of its kind, and other teams are doing it. But it's the first I've heard of it. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. All right, last topic. Sleez, we'll get you to start off first here. I feel like you're not talking a lot, and I want you to fucking take.
What do you got for me?
All right. Who will have a better 2025 fantasy football outing in this format? Brock Bowers or Trey McBride? Land the fucking plane, Sleez. I need this clip, brother. You need this clip.
You already know the deal.
Baby. Let's go. Bring the heat.
Brock Bowers is going to have a regression this year. It is going to be Trey McBride. Brock Bowers now has Pete Carroll, who runs the ball at 50 to 57% rate. You can add, Kelly to that as well. Geno Smith's going to make a passing game better for them. And their running game was awful last year. It was one of the worst in the NFL I've seen in years. And now they have the monster Ashton Genty, who's going to come in and going to take away a couple volume plays. I'm going to say regresses like 20 points. He's still my tight end 2. And Trey McBride is going to find the mother freaking end zone this year. And he's going to blow him up by 40 points.
I'm here for it. I love that take. T-Bro?
I'm fist pumping, baby, because I love that take so freaking much. Trey McBride is my tight end 1 this year. He was my tight end 1 last year. And I drafted him in this draft because if he scores touchdowns this year, he is going to be a league-winning, difference-making, defining your season type of player if he scores touchdowns. Because Trey McBride, tight end 2 last year with 15.6 PPR points per game. If he had 19.2 expected PPR points per game based off of the volume, based off of everything. All he needs is touchdowns. And I don't anybody come at me with like, oh, well, he's allergic to the end zone. Get out of here. It's bad analysis. It's lazy. Touchdowns are fluky. And I remember, I'm old enough, boys, when I remember people said the same bullshit about George Kittle, and yet he scores touchdowns now. So I want to bet on a guy that if the touchdown luck and variance comes full circle, that type of volume, floor, ceiling, upside, Trey McBride is that type of difference-making, league-winning pick.
We were at the Niners-Cardinals game last year, and he missed 3 wide-open touchdowns in the end zone against us. I was blown away. I was like, this is just ridiculous.
All right, Updog, can you just show people the jersey number that you're wearing right now, sir?
Yeah, I had the same experience in Arizona where I picked up this fancy jersey and needed Trey McBride to catch a touchdown for me to advance a high-stakes team. And, of course, he let 2 go right through his hands. But, we still got the jersey.
Oh, yeah.
We're still going to take him. We're still going to take him to be tight end 1 on the season. And I think him and Kyler really have something going. The Marv stuff is kind of still up in the air if this guy's really going to break out. And, maybe he can only see McBride. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know what it is, but I'm pretty sure McBride is going to get fed. TD regression is going to go in his direction. It's long overdue. Bowers is great. I have zero problem clicking Bowers. It's just early second round. I find it tough. I'd much rather take McBride at the 2-3 turn. He's falling into the mid third.
He's falling, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, so it's if you were patient on these tight end prices, it's really nice to get rewarded now and pick up Trey McBride in the middle of the third round. And people were grabbing him in the middle of the second, right? So it's a great time to be in on McBride. He's the cheapest he's ever been, and I think it's a great window to start drafting him like immediately.
One more reason to be higher on Trey McBride. If you look at Arizona, they skewed heavy passing towards the back end of the season. So weeks 12 through 18, they had the 6th highest pass rate over expectation.
Yeah. Sleez,
Kyler was just getting back into form. He was coming off major injury, right? Coming off the knee. Yeah. So, he was just finding his game at the end of the year.
I think we're giving Jonathan Gannon a little bit too much credit. And Sleez, I now understand what you mean by going at the end because everybody just nailed their points. Yeah. So I'm trying to do cleanup crew. So it makes perfect sense. But it really comes down to Jonathan Gannon and being a little bit more creative in the scheme. Is he going to, use a little bit more pre-snap motions to make the pre-snap reads a little bit easier for Kyler Murray? And I see, but Kyler sucks at football. I don't think he sucks at football. I think Kyler's really good at football, and I think he's handicapped by very terrible play calling. Hopefully, Jonathan Gannon has learned his errors and learned his ways. Gets a little bit more creative with the pre-snap motions, gets a little bit more creative where he aligns Trey McBride. Just to add to what you guys are saying, we're looking at, it's not necessarily a knock on Brock Bowers because what he did was absolutely spectacular, but the recipe was perfect. It was the perfect storm. We had the most anemic running offense in recent memory with the Raiders last year, and it kind of forced it to be, first in Brock, second in Brock, third in Brock. So he got force fed, and he got force fed a lot, and that offense was terrible. He was just a shining light in a very, very terrible situation. I think that situation's fixed itself. Just to tell on what Sleez has said, and just to bring
the
a
run game was the worst in a long time, man. That was rough.
Yeah, and just to bring it home and land the plane, because this is the first time I think we've ever been unanimous, where all four people on the panel agree. It's what it comes down to is, at the end of the day, he has been Trey McBride. He has been as consistent as a tight end can be, showing top production based off of the volume alone. And like Debro said, we just need a couple touchdowns, and I think we're going to see that tenfold. I don't think Trey McBride's just going to be the tight end one this year. I think he has the upside of being a top 12, top 10 fantasy football player in PPR formats, and I don't think it's far out to expect that and say that. He's a league winner, and he's going off the board way too late.
To your point, Disco, so 19.2 expected fantasy points per game for Trey McBride last year. That would have made him the wide receiver 2 on the season in points per game. That would have made him the RB5. Basically, this is a guy you're getting in third round. If and I'm saying if the touchdowns, if that happens, if that's the type of ceiling he has to be a 19.2 player, points per game, we're talking about a first round Travis Kelce-esque talent of difference maker that you're drafting in the third.
That's an excellent point. What do you guys think that Breece Hall plays for? Elaborate.
I probably mean too, like assuming he's traded.
Who's saying I love you? I love you. All right, let's look at some lineups, guys. We'll do this quick. Billy Gableman goes 3-6-8-3 vanilla gorilla. He went with the missionary. Missionary can get it done, right? Like we've said it before. Drake May, Jordan Love, Anthony Richardson, Kyron Williams, Alvin Kamara, Travion Henderson, Trey Benson, Marshawn Lloyd, Taj Brooks, Nico Collins, Lad McConkey, Cortland Sutton, Matthew Golden to go with Jordan Love. I love Matthew Golden. Josh Downs, Rashad Bateman, Demario Douglas, Dontavian Wicks, John Smith, Hunter Henry, Elijah Arroyo. It's good. This is why you coach fantasy football. It's balanced across the board. I don't like your tight end room, but it could get the job done. Your wide receiving room is spectacular. Your RB room has a lot of good receiving upside. Your quarterback room is balanced with passing touchdown equity and rushing upside. Do you guys see anything wrong with this? Anything you like about it?
I mean, I'm not on Kyron and Kamara really this year, but outside of that, I think I like this team a lot in the way that it was built, and especially being very thoughtful and intentional with, you have the volume guys, especially like some age at the top of it, but balance that with some really high end handcuffs. So I thought the running back room was put together really well.
I love it. Anything Sleez, Updog?
It's always Kyron. Good.
Yeah.
Move along.
Except when it's not in 2025.
Yeah, I like it. He got like the May slide, and then he turned that into a
extension.
Turned it into a pat stack. Like he already had Henderson, but he added out some pass catchers with Henry and Douglas. Got a big fall on downs too, 10 spots, and then he turned that into a safe QB3 play with Richardson. So it's cool. I like what he did here. He kept it pretty thin at running back. Like, he's got 2 workhorses and a upside bet, and then 3 contingent guys.
Week 17 correlation, I think, too, with Houston and the Chargers, unless I'm wrong.
Yeah, that is. That's a fun Week 17 pair.
Not
Those
that
are-
I didn't, build that way myself. But
Those are 2 words I haven't heard in a while. A safe play with Anthony Richardson, huh? Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
it's just
if
what
he
if he plays
plays-
6 games, right? He's probably gonna play 6 games in
He'll
most
spike.
outcomes, I would think, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he does. He'll spike.
It's
but-
probably
I
a
mean-
coin flip. He plays 6 games.
I don't think it's a risky play. I think it's a safe play in the sense of like if he does start games, he's probably giving you QB1 production. If he's not, then it's a 2 QB build. So what?
Yeah,
Right.
It's free. Last pick of the draft.
Yep.
Perfect.
I don't hate it.
All right, I just want to ask Tebow Time, are you in here? Latomsky, I think you're in here. Uncle Ruggs, are you in here? All right, let's look at Willie 86's team. Willie, you're in here. Willie goes 2693. Jaden Daniels, who I loved last year. Not big on this year at ADP. Matthew
Yeah.
Stafford, Devon Achane, my potential RB1. James Conner, I believe, is dead. Tony Pollard, Ramondre Stevenson, Austin Eckler, a little micro stack there with his receiving back, and Dylan Sampson. It's one of your guys, Updog. We haven't forgotten, buddy. We are still going to ask you who this year's Brock Bowers and Bucky Irving is. Puka Nacua, Terry McLaurin, Jalen Waddle, Jaden Reed, Hollywood Brown, Wandale Robinson, Deontay Johnson, Tyler Lockett, Elijah Moore, Evan Ingram, Kyle Pitts, Zach Ertz. The correlation's fine. I love that you stack Puka and Stafford. Puka has wide receiver 1 upside. I'm still higher on BTJ, but the correlation is great. The names are great spike best ball hitters. Your running back room is balanced between a safe floor on the ground and a high ceiling in the air. It's very good, and I like your tight end room a lot. I think Kyle Pitts is going to outperform his ADP, even though you reached a little bit. This is a good draft. This is great all around, gentlemen.
I just don't like Terry McLaurin, but it's a good, well-rounded all the way.
Yeah,
It's a well-built team. I will say, so this team does highlight a problem that I think happens with some team, like paying up for quarterback. Like you got to sacrifice somewhere sometimes. Like you're going to be chasing probably at some positions, and I feel like he was kind of behind the 8 ball. He needs some things to go right, and I mean the good thing about it, best ball, like investing in spike weeks into possibly high scoring offenses with Reed and Brown. I think Deontay Johnson's ADP is criminal right now. It's kind of insane. He's just being left for dead. He was the top of my queue when they selected him too. My only problem with the team is I feel like you're kind of chasing a little bit with to try to backfill wide receiver, where maybe going Achane and Connor, maybe I would have punted. But again, like going back to the board, I probably would have taken a wide receiver earlier. But again, I'm kind of splitting hairs here.
I like the start. Like Puka, Devon, I like it. But the Jaden Daniels pick, it's kind of like, was it contingent on you picking Terry McLaurin? I don't know. From a roster construction standpoint, it's solid, it's safe, and it's a good draft. It's just more of a player take situation, and I could be completely wrong, and I have the humility to admit that I could be wrong. It's just not my preference of like Debro said, you're chasing. Anything else, fellas?
Yeah, so I just wanted to say the best part about this team is that he went elite QB, and then he didn't force his QB to. Like he got a 15 pick discount on Matthew Stafford. Right? He said, I've already paid up for my guy. I'm not gonna just waste a pick in the middle of the draft just because Puka's my wide receiver 1. You know, he's like, I want that stack, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to get it. He managed to push it a whole round and a half, and that's really cool because that means he got another good player on his team. So yeah, I think that's I think it's pretty sharp. It's kind of looking a bit thin at receiver, but I like a lot of those guys. So yeah, I think it's well done.
He said, appreciate the feedback. Samson was for Updog. Shocker.
Yeah. You probably don't even need Samson on that team. Like he could probably be a receiver, Just looking at the values, like you have maybe I shouldn't say that. It's a good build.
I do like how he kind of
is nice.
I like how he blended like some of the early down grinder, like touchdown dependent guys with like some pass catchers late in this PPR format. I thought that was very sharp.
Yeah, it is a good combination of backs. It's good. All right, Sleez, can you give us the full breakdown on Tebow Time's draft at the 111, brother?
All right, Tebow Time goes 2792, goes elite quarterback with Josh Allen. You gotta, man, when you go elite quarterback, you gotta listen to what Updog just said. I'm not paying up 7 spots in the 83rd pick for Baker Mayfield if I have Josh Allen. Like, how many times is he going to outscore him? I already don't like that. I hate to, bag on you, Tebow. Running back room, James Cook breached on him 2-7 spots. Najee Harris, it's a really thin running back room. Byshell Tootin, Jalen Wright, Raheem Mostert, Sean Tucker, Isaiah Davis. I don't really love the running back room, to be honest. I'm just hitting this guy hard right now. I'm sorry, Tebow. Wide receivers, Malik Neighbors, Rashee Rice. Love those top two. Juan Jennings, I think, is a league winner. Chris Godwin, Emeka Egbuka. I can't stop drafting him. Keon Coleman, I like for a breakout as well. Your wide receiver room is exactly like I love it. This is a perfect wide receiver room. And then Dalton Kincaid and Pat Freiermuth. Dalton Kincaid with Josh Allen, Baker with Chris Godwin and Emeka.
Keon Coleman with Josh Allen as well, and James Cook.
I see that. It's like a C to me. I don't like this draft at all.
I feel like you tried to be Bengals Bucks, but it was Bills Bucks, and you kind of reached and paid the piper here. I love the correlation with Josh Allen. I agree with Sleez. You didn't need to invest in Baker Mayfield here. It's okay investing into his receiving weapons without paying the piper for the quarterback. If Josh Allen is your 35th overall pick, you are betting that he's going to be your QB1 pretty much the entire way. You could even gotten a micro stack with Aaron Rodgers and Pat Freiermuth and still rationalize the rest of this draft. I don't like your running back room. I would have preferred another running back instead of Baker Mayfield. D-Bro, Updog, what you guys got?
Somebody's going to have to explain to me why you pay up for Josh Allen and then you pay up for James Cook. I feel like those are very differing bets. Like, I understand you're making the bet that the Buffalo Bills are a top 3 to 5 offense and both are beneficiaries, but you're also kind of like you're hurting yourself as well. Like, James Cook is not correlating a lot with the passing game. If he hits, then how many touchdowns does he take away, or weekly spike week stuff from Josh Allen, unless like the Buffalo Bills are just dropping it on people for 30 a week, which is possible. That could happen. But to me, I would much rather bet that like Josh Allen scoring that on his with his legs and stuff. I would rather you just punted. If you wanted to invest in the backfield and make that bet, I would much rather, considering how you built this team, have just built this team as a 0 RB team and taken Ray Davis instead. And honestly built up the wide receiver room, because I feel like you got to the point of like the Buffalo Bills and you took, unless I'm reading this wrong, like it basically like took Allen and then Cook back-to-back picks. And it's like, if I'm taking Allen, I'm probably not taking Cook or vice versa.
Yeah, I say this all the time. People try to get a little too cute with correlation. And I understand if you're chasing what Bengals Bucks did last year, but you got to imagine everybody who has a brain knows that, Bengals Bucks did it last year. We're going to try to emulate and do what he did last year by just getting correlation for two top offenses. And I think forcing that is what's going to limit your drafts and ultimately turn into a donation. Do I think this is a donation? No, I'm not saying it, but I'm saying it's hard to even get your money back with the way you built this out. I don't anticipate you're going to have 2 to 3 top 10, top 15 running backs on a weekly basis with what you currently got based off of the capital spent. Updog, what you got first, brother?
Yeah, so I think just the core problem is the Allen Cook stuff, where like we're trying to achieve like 0.001 outcomes, and like Debra was saying, like you're kind of betting against that thesis, taking both of them. Like, you're basically saying one of those two guys isn't going to go nuclear, because they have to cannibalize each other at the goal line. So it's kind of one of those things that's different on drafters than on the other formats. Like, if this is on Underdog, you're like, okay, that's kind of cool, because maybe week 15 Allen goes off, and maybe week 16 Cook goes off, and you can kind of ping pong it and make it work. But when we're playing like these total season long cumulative games where you have to beat every other team and you need the best fantasy player off every team, when you make these like high capital bets, and especially at these positions like receiver and QB, where they're going to eat into each other's rushing touchdown totals, it's just so rarely going to work out. That being said, like, Tebow is a good drafter. He took down a mini last year. Like, this guy, he knows what he's doing. So
was it the first mini or the second mini?
I'm not sure. Or, you know what? Sorry, I think it was pre-draft.
Okay.
But he took down a draft tournament last year, so I know Tebow knows his shit. Yeah, it's just that doing that is not a likely path to like a top 0.01 outcome. It makes it a little tougher.
Can I make one more observation? Like just the way that this team was built. And Tebow, like, chime this in the chat if I'm wrong. This feels like a team where like he was multitasking, like trying to cook dinner and then draft a team, and then like trying to keep up with like how my approach, how I'm building the team. It feels like this team feels kind of bipolar in the build and the aim at times in the draft. And I could be wrong with that, but that's how the build feels for me.
I think
we'll see what Tebow says in the chat.
He really wanted to lock up his like T-base stack, and that kind of decided his whole build, because he had to go 2 Tampa Bay receivers, Tampa Bay quarterback, and then by the time he's looking at his RB2, it's Najee Harris or whatever. So
you're just wishing that you didn't draft Cook and you just went total 0.
Yeah.
RB.
So if you don't commit to the double, like the Tampa Bay double there, like maybe he has his reasons for doing it, right? Like I have my reasons for doing that kind of stuff all the time, where I'm like, oh, these teams pair well together, I'm gonna do it. But yeah, sometimes it leaves you in a bad spot where all of a sudden your RB2 is Najee Harris, and you've spent like crazy amounts of capital at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So Mullins90 says Mullins90 is here. Welcome in, Mullins90. I'll just look at your team exclusively, and then we'll look at my draft, D-Bro's draft, and Sleezbomb's draft. 3683 for Mullins. He goes Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott. You didn't need Aaron Rodgers here. Roster construction, that's a bad deal right there. Josh Jacobs, Chuba Hubbard, Travis Etienne, Tyrone Tracy. I love the first 4. Roshan Johnson, somebody who I need to start getting a little bit more exposure to. It's been Swift or Monungai. Roshan I kind of wrote off, but there's a world where he could be viable. Kendre Miller, somebody I'm never clicking. CeeDee Lamb correlated with Dak Prescott, nice. AJ Brown correlated with Jalen Hurts, also nice. Jacoby Myers is your wide receiver 3. He's okay. Safe floor, but safe floors don't win. Khalil Shakir, I think, is the safest floor at the wide receiver position in fantasy football. Xavier Legette, Michael Wilson, Roman Wilson. You got all the Wilsons there, brother. Alan Lazard. So a couple correlation pieces there. No, not one correlation piece. Lazard's. I'm typically
assuming he's
Lazard.
Going to Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean that is a good assumption. Good take. You saved it. T.J. Hawkinson, Dallas Goedert. You didn't need Ferguson either. So based off of roster construction, I would have preferred you spend a little bit more equity instead of like a Aaron Rodgers or Dallas Goedert or Ferguson. Once again, just getting too cute with like the making sure that you're getting correlation. I would have preferred you got a little bit more value at the wide receiver position, because there's a significant teardrop after your first 2. Like you started off hot. CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, love that start. Significant teardrop. Jacoby Myers being next up. There's going to be weeks where he's not even a top 30, top 35 wide receiver. And I could say the same for Khalil Shakir, because some weeks it's going to be all running back, right? So you want to make sure that you have a little bit more ceiling at the wide receiver position, especially since you could suit up 4 on a weekly basis in PPR format. Yeah.
Did you see the comment about Tebow?
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew it.
You're pretty dead on. I was in another.
That looks like a team that I would build while I was trying to like bathe my daughter or cook dinner or some shit. I knew it.
Yeah. All right. Let's look at Sleez's. Then we'll look at D-Bros, and then we'll look at mine, and we'll wrap it up. I'm trying to get out here in under 12 minutes. Nail the Disco doing double drafts. Gotcha. God bless you. I love the Allen Cook combo. I respect it. All right. Sleezbomb goes 3773. Interesting. Michael Penix, because he had to insert the Penix. I'm here for it. Cam Ward, Shador Sanders is a dart throw. Not bad.
Ooh,
I like
Shador.
it.
That's the first time I've seen that.
That's a good dart throw. Christian McCaffrey, Aaron Jones, Jalen Warren, Zach Charbonnet. First 3 PPR fucking gold. Zach Charbonnet. I mean, if anything happens to Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet is a league winner, but that's the contingency for Charbonnet. Miles Sanders, Kyle Monungai, Ty Johnson. I don't hate these dart throws down the stretch, especially in PPR format. Drake London, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Xavier Worthy, Chris Olave, Jerry Jeudy, Marvin Mims, Alec A. Manor. I like your receiving room a lot. I definitely would have not gone with Ty Johnson and gone with another receiver.
David All my buys were good, though.
Yeah, I mean, buys don't really matter in my opinion, but I mean, they could matter in yours. David Njoku, Isaiah Likely, Mike Gesicki. It's good It's a good, solid draft across the board. I like the names you got here. The construction's my only feedback. I think you could get by with a Michael Penix and Cam Ward. What do you guys think?
Well, I know I did it because he had the double.
I don't think there are enough spike week hitters, though.
I would have taken the third quarterback. I agree with Sleez on that.
I personally wouldn't have taken a third quarterback because I'm so high on Penix and Cam Ward, but I understand the logic behind it. I think the only thing that I would say is you just needed one more wide receiver.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I'm curious. So, like, why Shedeur over Flacco?
Because I don't think they're going to throw a 40-year-old out there when there's nothing to play for Cleveland. And if they want the fans and everyone that's rooting for the Shedeur Sanders side to figure out if they fucked up or they didn't, they're going to throw him out there to the wolves.
I don't necessarily disagree with that.
Yeah, I haven't been brave enough to make that click yet. I've kind of been adding Flacco like randomly when I get in spots like similar to this where I have a bunch of Cleveland guys. But I've been thinking about it, man. And yeah, I like what you how you phrase that there.
I mean, why would they put Joe Flacco out there at 40, turning 41 when there's really nothing going for the Browns? I just don't.
I mean, just because he's like been able to operate an offense like reasonably well over the past.
I do think that Cleveland's kicking the can down the road. I don't think they're trying to win. I don't think they're actively trying to lose. But I think that this is an eval year.
Yeah, and if this is Shadeur's time.
Yeah,
I'd rather take the pick on him. I think he plays more than 6.5 games this year.
I'm going to say this is a B+. What do you got for D-Bro?
Yeah, I'm with that. I think the only variation I would have done, Sleez, is I probably would have not taken Aaron Jones and kicked the can a little bit further on running back and taken like another late guy and maybe invested that into wide receiver, or tight end, depending on the board and stuff like that. But I don't hate it, man. Again, I think it's a really solid team.
Updog?
Yeah, I like it. I'll give it a solid B+. There's something doesn't sit right with me though. I don't know what it is. I think you need to find another receiver there somehow, but I don't know where you find it. That's the question.
You don't like the first 6 London season worthy Olave, Judy, Mims?
No, it was like the first. Yeah, they were good, man. And then Imanor with Ward. Yeah,
I was gonna wait for
nice to have one more.
All right, let's look at D-Bro's lineup here. Justin Herbert, he goes 2.882 from the 101. Shocker, both times he's been in our draft, he's had the 101. It's fixed. Justin Herbert, CJ Stroud, Bijan Robinson, Kenneth Walker, Caleb Johnson, Jadon Blue, Jarquez Hunter, Brashard Smith, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. I love Woody Marks. Like that pick too. A lot of people have written him off since the Nick Chubb signing. I just like his value a little bit more now. Garrett Wilson, Calvin Ridley. Now I understand why Stroud upset you there. Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah, Fields getting taken. Yeah.
Jaden Higgins. So a little micro stack there with Stroud. Trey Harris, micro stack with Herbert. Quinn Johnston, more Herbert picks. Jalen Noel, Jalen Coker, Trey McBride, Dalton Schultz. So more correlation with Houston here. It's good.
I'll lean with so one, I did want to take 3 quarterbacks, but everybody kind of got taken. And then when I was making up at the end of it, my favorite 3 QB super cheap build. Like I love going with Darius Slayton and Jackson Dart late because of the rushing upside if I'm going QB3 for free. The wide receiver room, I felt like I got behind on it. Because it's how some of the guys ahead of me kept going and stuff. So I tried to catch up with rookie and second year upside and lean into more correlation and honestly just targeting spike weeks. So basically that's where I went with the double stacking of Higgins and Knoll and QJ and Harris capturing the spike weeks from those 2 quarterbacks. Just to give him my process on this team.
That's 3 drafts back to back we've done on drafters now where you've taken 2 Texans wide receivers and Stroud. I like that. I'm interested in the Texas offense.
Regression, man.
Yeah, I like that. And you're trying to kind of dig your way out of the receiver hole you're in. So you're just like, I'm going all in these 2 teams. And either it works.
And I took Calvin Ridley because when the board, if you want to look at the board, the way that the board played out too, him versus some other guys, I was betting on my bet with Ridley at that spot, even though as gross as it feels, is like there's a path for him to be this year's McLaurin with Ward.
I don't hate that call.
Yeah, he never gets dragged up there, so it's cool. That kind of stuff is really valuable on drafters.
Like the rest of the board, like all those other guys, you're looking at Myers, the 2 or the 3 in the offense, Addison, the same thing, Adunze, the same thing. Flowers is a locked-in wide receiver 3. Metcalf, like, what do we get out of him? No shade, Disco, but like Aaron Rodgers, Arthur Smith offense, we saw that shit go sideways for Pickens last year. So Ridley, that was the reason I went with him there.
I respect it. Like my golden rule is if I go with an RB in round 1, I cannot take an elite at the single position. Despite you doing that, you still landed the plane in a really, really good way with tremendous investment and capital taken. I like the rationale behind double tapping certain players. For like, if you look at it this way, if Houston balls out, if the Chargers ball out, this is a very unique roster construction and roster combo that I don't think a lot of people have. And your running back room is elite. My only piece of advice is I don't think you should have gone with Krosky Merritt or Woody Marks here. And maybe I'm just nitpicking, but I think you just, because you're kind of playing a little bit behind the 8 ball and investing in wide receiver, I would have just taken dart throws on a couple of wide receivers with a ton of upside. But nonetheless, it's still a solid draft, and it's a different draft, and I like it.
I thought about it, and then I was thinking about QB3, but then Geno went because I was looking at Geno and then Thornton late because I love Thornton. I've been drafting him everywhere. So looking at him and going that direction, but it just didn't work out. Like I wanted to get a QB3, and then kind of by the time like we were talking through everything, my brain kind of got back to it. I didn't get Dart and Slayton, and so with the running backs, I was like, for me, I'm more of a, just because of the war of attrition with injuries and stuff, my late round guys are more likely going to be dart throws at running back, just because wide receivers, even if they do get the opportunity, the chances of a lot of those guys, like if I'm taking a wide receiver that late at the very end of a draft, you have to be probably like a field stretcher, downfield guy, give me spike weeks, because the chances of one of the last 2 round guys coming in and earning a 20 to 22% difference making kind of target share is more slim than 2 injuries or an injury away running back for me.
I love it. I love it. Anything else, fellas?
No, it's Garrett Wilson no matter what. Money.
All right. Sleez and I have been debating this, D-Bro. And I mean, I think we both respect your opinion enough, but I don't think your opinion is going to sway either one of us. AJ,
I love it.
AJ Brown or Garrett Wilson in this format this year?
Oh, it's AJ Brown for me.
Thank you. Common sense prevails once again. All right, guys.
Take all bets. Bring them all.
All right. I mean, shit. My lack of exposure to Wilson will tell you all you need to know. All right, this is my 50th draft. This is huge. All right, guys. They don't call me Big Draft Energy because I suck at drafting. They call me Big Draft Energy because I'm physically a large human being. It has nothing to do with like my draft skills whatsoever. Nevertheless, I go with a 2-7-9-2 draft roster construction. I got Patrick Mahomes and Trevor Lawrence as my quarterback room. I love it. Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, Quinshon Judkins, Javonte Williams, Rashad White, Braylon Allen, DJ Giddens. Nice work, Disco. Wide receiver, Brian Thomas Jr.
I love how Disco has his own cheering section. He's like, very good job, Disco. Good to go. All right.
Don't worry. I don't know my drafts until I look at it. Like until I look at it here, I'm like, this is good. This is good. Brian Thomas Jr., Marvin Harrison Jr., all the juniors, Devonta Smith.
Very good pick if I do say so myself.
Do coherently concur, sir. DK Metcalf, Jalen McMillan, Darius Slayton, Adonai Mitchell, Amari Cooper, Demarcus Robinson is a dart throw. I need to start
get that out of there. What's going on with that?
No. It's a dart throw I'm going to make more often. I promise.
Cowing. Come on.
Yeah, Travis Kelce.
Or none of the above.
Just look at the contract. Okay. All the money. Travis Kelce, Jalen Warren, or Tyler Warren. All right, guys. Be honest. Be mean, be vicious. Talk to me. PPR tips over on the Twitter side. He says, I love that RB room by Disco.
I like it a lot. It's a cool
PPR tips. I love that you're complimenting me. Go ahead. Updog, what you got?
Yeah, I'll take it away. So, like, first thing that jumps out here is we did the BTJ pull-up, which is cool. And you didn't mess that up by taking JT and Marv at ADP. Like, you didn't get weird because you already got weird, right? So if you were to like reach on combos there, you're like defeating the purpose of dragging the guy up. So you're just taking the guys that are there at ADP that are never going to be paired with them. And yeah, that's cool. It's fun. You got 10 pick discount on Mahomes. Added Kelsey onto that. Pretty sweet. These running backs are like pretty damn good. Like, you know, Swift's been ripping up the board. Judkins is like a huge breakout play. I'm fine with taking Javonte. Like I still think he's like the lead back and like two good cuffs. I think this is a sick team. Like the only thing that I don't like is Demarcus Robinson looking at me. Besides for that, I think this is like a really, really, really good team.
This is A- for sure.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
I like all the running back plays. I just don't like your wide receiver past DK, but
good work, Disco. All right, D-Bro, what you got for me?
I think it's a really solid team, man. I think you found a lot of spots for volume and stuff. Now, is it nasty volume after JT? Sure, but it's still volume. Took some upside shots. The only other correlation thing that I would have loved if you did and you went deep into the well is taking Jalen Royals to pair with Mahomes over D-Rob. Because then you're just making the bet against Hollywood Brown. But outside of that, it's a really solid team.
Or
where did Royals go here? Was he undrafted?
No, he's probably undrafted, dude.
He goes in the 20th.
Yeah, I was like, he didn't get drafted here, I don't think.
Yeah, that could have been your last round pick. Yeah,
that should have been my last round pick. I honestly I wanted Worthy, but it didn't happen. I wanted Hollywood, but it didn't happen. But I like what we did here. This is a very unique combination for me. And
I like the spike week guys late. Like I was talking about, if you're taking the wide receivers late, then you either want a path to them being a starting 3 wide receiver or the downfield guy. And so like that's why going with Slayton or AD Mitchell, I thought were really savvy picks. Jalen McMillan, all of those guys. I mean, if your top 4 wide receivers all hit, the other guys are not gracing your lineup unless they do hit spike weeks. So taking those guys and those shots are very calculated. I like those.
Good work, Disco. Thanks, guys.
Good work, Disco.
All right. Honestly, guys, this was a long show, but I'm so grateful for the show we had. I learned so much just by listening and being a sponge from 3 of the fantasy football minds that I respect the most on the planet, and 3 men that I respect a hell of a lot. Updog, I don't know if you know this, but you have been probably the most influential person when it comes to my entire theory and draft approach in best ball since I've met you. Your theory, your advice, your guidance has gone a long way for me. Sleez, I hate your guts, and I only live to prove you wrong. And D-Bro, honestly, man, like I've been supporting you since day one, and I'm just grateful that I got all of you guys here and got to pick all of your brains and your analysis and your projections and your approach. At the end of the day, guys, there's always going to be like a conflict in theory, a conflict in takes, but what it comes down to it really means that the amount of humility and respect that goes back and forth both ways, that's what this is all about. And if there's a guy out there that you guys are currently supporting who shits on people and shits on takes and just isn't a good person, you probably shouldn't be supporting them. Shout out to Who Hames for the raid. Shout out to Sleez for the handoff from his earlier show. D-Bro, is there anything you want to say?
Too, bro. What's up? Huh? 10 gifted too, man. Don't forget.
Fuck yeah, you did give 10 gifted. Sorry, man. God bless you. I appreciate you. D-Bro, anything you want to say to the chat before we go?
Nah, man. I mean, I appreciate everybody tuning in. This was a blast, man. I love all the different perspectives, different takes, and stuff like that. Thought it was a really, really solid show. Updog's got some really interesting and honestly, like very sharp tools, and the way you can apply them and stuff. So, man, I mean, everybody knows all my stuff's at FantasyPros. Got a bunch of articles coming out, draft kits coming out for us. I could plug all the things and stuff, but I'm really, I mean, this is a fantastic show.
Honestly, D-Bro, I know things are really picking up for you, and I appreciate you just taking the time on such short notice to do this show. So thank you. Updog, let the folks know who you are, where you're from, what you do, and as long as you'll fucking love me.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on again. It was a nice chat. Glad I got to go over some of my fancy best ball solver stuff. I do plan on making it public. I just have some stuff to work out in the back end. Essentially, I can't share these sheets without giving up control of them. So we're off the plan B, but it's cool. I'm hoping to kind of get a YouTube channel rolling, start streaming, start showing these tools off. And yeah, thanks for platforming me and having a conversation about it.
Hey man, thanks for being a part of it. No Cap Mac says, "Love you, D bro. I'll be rewinding to check out your tools, Updog." No Cap Mac, one of a kind. Sleezbomb, my co-host with the most, my business partner, my brother in arms. Please let the folks know who you are, where you're from, what you're doing, as long as you fucking love me.
The other Derek, you can find me at Garrett Wilson and Kyron Williams, no matter what.com. I'm kidding. My mind is a weapon.
That's a .net, sir. Thank you very much.
My mind is a web of fantasy football. Amazing to be here, man. Always blessed with D-Bro. Like you said at the beginning, he's one of the people I followed before I even started content. Started it all for my journey as well. Updog, I mean, the dog math, sign me up whenever you want. I'm interested already.
Yep.
And, always blessed to be here, man.
Yeah, man.
Great show, guys.
But blessing to have you. Shout out to Colby and the Cattle Dogs. That's my wife. She said, great show, great guest. Let's go. Guys, I say this all the time, and I'll say it again. It takes a village, and I love my fucking village. We'll see you guys tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Sleezball's channel. Until next time, y'all. Peace.